Blank check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
Boy, you people sure stay up late.
We keep odd podcasts.
God.
We keep pod hours.
It's a nice short one.
Yeah,
it's
right.
quite nice.
Yeah, good. Short. Exactly. Let's just get it over with. That's great. We did it.
And as always, please remember to rate, review, subscribe.
No, not that short. Come on, we can do 5 minutes.
Hi, everybody. My name's Griffin Newman.
I'm David Sims.
This is Blank Check with Griffin and David. That's the two of us. We're hashtag the two friends.
True.
A competitive advantage.
In podcast. And in life.
And in life, I think so. I think it helps us.
Being friends?
Yeah.
It's helped me.
Yeah.
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 I mean, look, if I didn't have a friend, who would I hang out with? You ever try a one-person hangout? It sucks.
I do it all the time. Are you kidding me?
Me too. It's most of my life. We are both weird, hermetic, lonely men.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I very relevant to today's movie. I have to shoot a thing tomorrow morning from when we're recording this episode.
And
piece
of cinema?
A piece of cinema. And I have been keeping very terrible vampire hours. My body has not readjusted since Australia, which has been like 3 weeks now.
Yeah, but that really fucked you over.
It fucked me over.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough.
Right. I have been purposefully depriving myself of sleep.
Yeah, Griffin lives in yesterday now or
right.
whatever.
I'm trying to make myself overtired.
So you'll fall asleep tonight.
Right.
That's your plan.
Right.
But that fucks me up. See, I used to do this in college.
Yes.
Where I would sleep later and later, and then I'm like, my sleep schedule would suddenly be like, I go to bed at 8 a.m. and wake up at 4 p.m. And I'd be like, well, this is a disaster, so I'll just stay up for 36 hours.
Yes.
But then what would happen is your body would just go insane.
Yeah.
And you would fall asleep at 10 p.m. and wake up at 2 a.m. and your body would be like, you don't need sleep anymore, right? Because you haven't been sleeping, so I'm waking you up.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I've been dealing with one form of insanity for 3 weeks. I'm trying to just see at the very least if I can move to a lateral form of insanity.
Sure. Yeah.
But I walked into the studio, leather jacket, sunglasses, face half charred.
Yeah, he's got his Duncan.
Right. But I feel like a vampire is my point, David. I feel like a vampire.
I get it.
Which is relevant because this is a podcast about filmography.
Sure.
Directors who had massive success early on, and they're issued a series of blank checks.
That's true.
Sometimes those checks clear.
Yeah.
Sometimes they bounce, baby.
Turn your phone off.
I'm turning it off right now. I'm sorry. I'm all over it. But this is a miniseries about the films of Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow. And what's it called?
Pod 19, The Widowcaster.
Of course it is.
And we are now at her second film.
Yes.
The things are starting to come together. The pieces are starting to come together.
Yeah.
And the movie's called Near Dark.
Yeah, this was the movie that got her noticed, right?
Right, because, Loveless, she's co-directing it.
Sure.
It's more of a sort of like artistic experiment.
Right.
It's a festival movie, but she's making a studio film, a low-budget studio film, the likes of which rarely exists today.
It's a DEG film, right? It's not really a studio.
Yeah, and he, I guess, had like an output deal with MGM.
He was like a quasi-studio head in the 80s, though.
Right.
De Laurentiis.
But that's this movie. I'm very curious to see what the numbers are like in terms of listenership for this episode, because this movie is almost impossible to watch now.
Right, and it's because of that, isn't it?
Yes.
It's because of the because I was trying to figure out why is this movie so hard to watch. But it's the De Laurentiis thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dino! But we're talking about Near Dark today, and we have a great guest.
Near Dark, and we have a great guest who obeyed my rule. Talking on
my
mic.
introduction.
Well,
it's what we talked about this last week. Yes.
I know. I have to speak before you introduce me.
Exactly.
You must. And you did.
And I did.
Exactly.
I
and
tried.
Also a guest taking advantage of our freestanding policy that we will pay first class airfare for any international.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Well,
Yeah,
it's not. This is our first international guest.
This is
but
our first
any guest who's traveling from another place, even by air.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
She really called our bluff
Fran
on
Hoffner
this
came
one.
from Chicago. Amy Nicholson came from L.A.
Right, and we put Fran Hoffner on Spirit Airlines and it only cost us like $70.
Yeah, well, where first class is basically just like a slightly bigger seat.
Right.
Come on.
Right.
But
But
get out of here.
today's guest stretched the wallet a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. She is a film critic for Little White Lies.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mani Lazic.
Hello.
Did I pronounce your last name?
Lazic.
Fucked it up.
It was one or the
Manuela
other.
Lazic is the actual real way of saying it. But that's fine.
I shoplifted Little White Lies once when I was in college.
That's a good
By
thing to
mistake.
do.
by
Oh,
mistake.
that's fine.
Well, sort of by mistake.
But David, how would you have been
boy,
able to
here we
shoplift
go.
that? That's a magazine that's published in England.
That's true. Well, I grew up in England. I don't know if you know that about
You
me.
grew up in England?
Yeah.
Never heard that one before.
No,
yeah.
never.
Yeah.
Does FOP still exist?
Yes, it's still there.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You mean,
It's
you
kind
mean
of
the
a miracle.
archetype or
Yeah, that still exists. No,
FOPs
it is
still exist?
Yeah, FOPs are still around. FOP is a
Yeah.
indie music. It used to be
Yeah.
like a record store, right?
It's a record store. They also sell books and
Yeah.
DVDs and Blu-rays, and it's kind of a miracle they still exist. I think.
I
'cause it's
can't believe they still
yeah.
exist. That's
it's
nuts.
like £5 DVDs and it's
Right.
amazing.
That's
Yeah.
and I used to go to
Pretty
FOP all the time, and I was in FOP once, and I was looking at this brand new magazine called A Little White. Like it was when it was first launching.
cool. Yeah.
I think Bad Education was on the cover, the Almodovar movie.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I just walked out with it. Like I didn't buy anything, and I just walked out with it. And I
You thought it
walked
was
like
free.
4 blocks, and I realized, like, wait, I never paid for this thing. Like, no one stopped me. Anyway,
So like
I'll never forget
accidental
that.
shoplifting.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't very malicious.
It's
Is-
okay. Now you mention it on your podcast, like you're paying back. It's fine.
Exactly. If
Yeah.
they want to come after
That's a
me, I'll
plug.
pay them the whatever the cover price was.
Yeah, but
back
do you know how
then,
much
like
they're gonna
£2.50.
boost their listenership with this episode?
I'm
Exactly.
trying.
Yeah.
Was FOP like, or is, I guess it still exists, like the Kim's Video of London?
Yeah, but it came later. Like
Okay.
FOP launched when I was in college. Like it was sort of just like they were trying to be like, what if Virgin Megastore or whatever was like a little cooler and like
Okay.
a little more indie, and at least in London it worked. I guess it still works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FOP. It was
Yeah.
kind of like what if Amoeba Records had branches all
Okay.
over the city.
Gotcha.
Like
Gotcha,
that kind
gotcha.
of thing. But not as good as that.
Right.
Right.
Because
No.
Kim's Video closing felt like a watershed moment in the death of a certain kind in New York.
For sure. Kim's Video is a very special New York thing. IMO.
And Amoeba's like allegedly dangling by a thread
Oh,
these
boy.
days,
I don't
right?
like- I don't like hearing that.
I don't either. I mean, that's obviously a big chunk of real estate.
That's a California thing. Yeah.
This has
Right.
been Shop Talk, where we literally
Love
talk
it.
about shops.
Does HMV still exist?
Yeah. I think it
I'm gonna
closed
pump you
recently,
for-
actually.
Yeah, see? I
It
used to
was-
go to HMV all the time.
Yeah.
Clack, 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 clack. That's me going through CDs. Clack, clack, clack. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clack, clack, clack.
I had, because I went to high school in Brooklyn and I had a friend. I grew up. It was no London.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
judging you.
But my friend and I lived in the West Village, so we'd take the subway together. My
To
friend Spike
Brooklyn,
and
sure.
I. Well, no, after school,
Spike Jones?
it was Spike Jones, the filmmaker. He had in a weird Billy Madison style twist. They wouldn't give him financing for adaptation unless he went back to school
Right. Sure.
because it turned out he had never graduated.
Okay. So you're saying it's like never been kissed.
That's my
or whatever,
sweaty
right?
bit I'm
Yeah.
doing right now. Whatever. I don't. I'm not sleeping.
Yeah.
Forget about that one.
Right. Forget about it. Forget.
Forget it. But Ben,
Forget it. It's
cut
blank
it,
check.
record it,
Yeah.
make it its own new podcast, start a network around it.
Make it a spinoff.
What's up?
Emergency mini. So just that joke. But we would go to the Virgin Megastore and do the clack clack clack. I don't want to brag, but we do some clack clack clacking, and would get angry when like movies we owned on DVD had been re-released with new cover art.
Yeah, with like a better DVD.
Oh, yeah.
Not even like if it was
Sure.
better, we'd like begrudgingly upgrade.
Uh-huh.
We double dip, but if it was just like, oh, fuck, now like the Terminator has like a lenticular cover.
That's petty as
dork.
hell, but yeah.
It was. You're right. It was petty as hell.
But like I had some flipper DVDs from like way back in the day,
Yeah.
and I remember, the new one would come out, and you'd be like, "All right." And was it Warner Brothers that had the little
that cardboard case.
the cardboard case with the I
Warner
hated
Brothers
that.
was shitting the bed the first 3 years of DVD because it was those cardboard cases and the flipper discs, and they weren't making it easy for you.
Yeah, I agree.
If I can talk about another shop,
Please,
because we're talking about
shop
shops.
talk.
Shops.
There are those secondhand DVD shops
Sure.
in the UK called CEX. Actually,
Oh
I
my
realized
God.
recently it's
I
called...
used to go to CDX all the time.
Yeah, right. But actually,
Sorry.
I found out recently that it's supposed to be pronounced sex. And I'm like, come on. Like,
Wait,
we're gonna...
what?
Yeah. I was like, no, it's a C. You have to say all the letters, otherwise it's weird. So anyways,
because it was Computer Exchange, I think was
Right.
where it first came from.
probably.
I used to go there and buy like old Nintendo games as well. Like
Yeah,
they
they
would
do
just have a
video
bunch
games
of like
Yeah.
random secondhand
Yeah.
crap. It's
And
sort of like a
so-
pawn shop for teens.
Yeah, and so like
Sex.
almost like every... and there was a Wi-Fi in one of the shops called the Safe CX. The Wi-Fi. Anyways, and my sister
I don't
and her
like that at all.
boyfriend. So my sister Elena Lazic, Lazic on Twitter, also a film critic, and her
Shout out.
boyfriend Paul Reed
he's
guy
one
who works
vowel
in
away.
film.
That was my joke about him at Toronto.
Yeah, because Paul Rudd. Anyways, they're
Right,
great
and he plays
people.
Art Man,
So anyways,
one letter away.
One consonant away.
what they do almost every weekend is that they walk to the CX in Camden and they buy like 15 shitty movies on DVD and then they watch them. And it's really fun.
It is fun.
Sometimes it's good
Camden.
movies, but many times it's just really bad movies. And it's really fun.
I got a shop
Yeah.
Please.
that I love that's from the UK, Rough Trade.
Oh, yeah.
It's in
It's good.
Williamsburg. I like listening to vinyl.
Mhm.
And so I go and I spend way too much money.
You can
at
spend
Rough
so much
Trade.
money at those places.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why I don't
Where
go
you're like,
anymore.
no, I need this Yes album. I know it's $18, but
Oh, come on, not Yes.
I love
first
Yes.
of all.
Hey, look, I'm just saying what I like.
But
That's fine. That's fine.
Go on.
That shop
Mhm.
opened pretty recently, and it feels like anomalous that like a new place like that sprung up. But then it's also so telling that it like has to be a venue as well.
Right.
Like it's clearly bankrolled by the fact that they're able to do shows there.
Yeah.
Like I bet the liquor pays for them having a brick and mortar record shop.
Oh, for sure.
maybe.
They
You know?
also do like art installations
Yes.
in the space too,
Yeah.
like monthly, which is really cool.
We recorded a podcast there once. You remember
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yes.
What
That was a
podcast?
mess.
Was it a Gethard
TCGS
party?
after party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually purchased a Cramps album.
Sure.
Which is featured in the movie we're talking about today.
that? Hey,
Near Dark.
look at that! Right back
Nice.
on the tracks. Thank
Well,
you,
okay,
Ben.
Ben.
No,
Thank you, producer Ben. Thank you, producer Ben. We're right back on the tracks. We can go on with our episode, Poet Laureate. Thank you, Haas. Let's get straight to our talk, The Peeper.
Hey, you're welcome.
Just checking my email.
Let's keep this episode moving.
Sure.
The tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you need me to settle something, I can do that.
By all means, keep talking.
We're
Ben.
talking about the
Draw
film
this out.
Near Dark,
Yeah.
Birthday Benny.
Well, it was in June, but yeah, you
Right.
can wish me a birthday.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I
Thanks.
can wish you a birthday.
Is that what you say, right?
Yeah, that's
Hey,
what you
your
say.
birthday.
Hey, birthday.
Hey, birthday to you.
Happy birthday to the meat lover.
Okay.
Any more?
Well, I just
Are we
think
just going to call it quits there?
no. I think it's
Come
important
on.
that we talk.
Shit.
We're here to talk about a movie. It's important that we talk about Near Dark, and it's also important that we acknowledge he's graduated to certain titles over the course of different miniseries,
I agree.
such as producer Ben Kenobi, Kylo Ben, Ben Sate, Ben Knight Shyamalan, Say Bennything, Yaley Benz with a $, Warhaz, and Purdue Urbane. These are important things.
I think so too.
These are important things.
How do you even remember these?
I forget half of
He
them.
forgets them all the time, but honestly,
That's
I mean, he's
reassuring.
the one who does it. I mean, credit
Yeah.
to Griffin. He's, the mantle is on him to
Yeah.
remember these fucking names, and he does it.
Yeah, I mean, most of my rent is paid for by remembering words.
That's
Sure.
true.
Sure.
It's
You know?
a job.
Yeah.
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 My
Makes you
rent's
think.
paid for by writing words.
But do you ever remember them? I ask you.
So rarely. In
ask-
fact, I usually repeat them constantly within the same article, and then it is pointed out to me later.
yeah,
They're
I,
like, David, you said the word blunt 8 times in this today. And I was like, yeah, well,
yeah, I
Yeah.
read some hacky review of yours recently. You used the word "and" like 75 times.
I know. I really lean on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's a writer's thing. You would understand.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting writer Trump. So this is Catherine Bigelow's second movie. It comes out a good handful of years after The Loveless, but The Loveless
87.
had a
Yeah, Loveless
an
had a long
extended
lead
birthing
time. Yeah,
process
yeah.
because it was doing a long retitling film festival circuits.
Yeah, and also the Loveless made no money. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm sure she was sort of hunting around, scraping for bucks.
What's a calling card?
Yeah.
She starts developing a screenplay, which she, wants to make a genre movie, a slightly more commercial film, and she really wanted to make a Western.
Yes.
Was
She wanted to make a Western. Go on, sorry.
riding a Western with her buddy.
Eric Red,
Good name.
who wrote The Hitcher
Sure.
for this, which was his college thesis.
Okay.
And it got turned into a fucking great movie with
Yeah.
Rutger Hauer
Yeah.
that I love. And his name is Eric Red, which is a very Scandinavian mythic name to have.
Right.
And he's a guy.
And he's Antmont.
Excuse me?
He's a couple letters away from
Yeah,
Paul Rudd,
right,
so
right.
I had to change it more.
And
Couple letters, yeah.
he later writes Blue Steel again with
Mhm.
Catherine Bigelow. That's about it. He wrote Undertow, that 90s TV movie that she made. with fucking Lou Diamond Phillips and Charles Dance.
I did not know that was a thing.
Oh, it's a thing, all right, my friend. It's a fuzzy script with amateurish direction, according to TV Guide.
Okay.
How did Lou get the nickname Diamonds?
I don't know, man, because he's a badass. That's how.
Well, growing up originally, he was Lou Cole Phillips. And then years of high pressure.
That's just not funny.
Two comedy points.
That is funny.
Two comedy
I
points.
will fight you to the end of the earth on that. That is a good joke.
Apparently-
I may be delirious right now,
Apparently,
but I'm Eddie Murphy delirious.
Lou Diamond was named after a war hero called Lou Diamond. That was his name, Lou Diamond. His name was actually James Diamond. That's crazy.
So
And
Diamond's real, but Lou isn't?
right. And then his father died, and he took his stepfather's surname Phillips as well.
Wait, so Diamond's the only part of his name
Diamond's
that
the
is real?
part. Yes. Isn't that
That's
bonkers?
beautiful.
Wow. You have
Good
to,
for Lou Diamond Phillips. I mean, I'd hold on to it too.
this is not, we've talked about Lou Diamond Phillips 2 episodes in a row now.
Well, yeah, and we're gonna talk about James LeGros. We're gonna we're gonna talk about. Well, I don't want to spoil it. Actually, I don't want to spoil it. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited about
Okay.
someone else we're gonna talk about.
Wow,
Who's just like seems to have taken over my life.
dramatic tease.
Man, I'm not spoiling anything.
Okay. So she's trying to make this Western happen.
Sure.
And everyone goes, dead genre.
Yeah, not cool. This is the 80s, baby.
Right.
The 80s are about vampires.
Right. So she goes, I got to mash it up.
Because in 85, you got Fright Night.
Yes.
Vampires.
Right. And there was another, Lost
In
Boys.
87,
Lost
you
Boys,
got
yeah.
The Lost Boys,
Yes.
which comes out right before Near Dark. So I refuse to accept. But maybe they knew that was coming and that it was going to be a big movie.
Sure, because that was a big movie. It would probably, like, they might have read some announcement.
It was a
Yeah.
big-ish movie. It was a major cult movie. I like The Lost Boys.
Had big stars in it, though.
Up
Huge,
and
huge
coming.
stars.
So Jason Patrick.
Alex Winter.
So
So she throws some vampire.
she throws
in the mix.
She essentially decides to reinterpret both the Western and the vampire.
Because she
By
loves to
combining.
play with genre.
She
does.
does like to play
All
with
the time.
genre.
Now, here's what I was very fascinated by watching this movie. I think to some degree, this movie plays like a remake of The Loveless.
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's about a bunch of bad boys rolling through town.
Right. It's this sort of like destructive cloud
Sure.
of like male ego unchecked.
But there's also a bad girl.
Right, but she's kind of like she's
Yeah.
hanging in the balance a little bit. She seems a little less bad than them.
Yeah, but
she's
she
the
makes,
nicest one
she
in
makes
the bunch.
what's his name, a vampire.
Yeah, I agree.
Unprompted.
I agree,
Yeah.
dick move.
that
Not
wasn't cool.
Dick move. But like the big kind of centerpiece of this movie is them holding this bar hostage, which is very similar to the centerpiece of
It is, yeah, of The Loveless.
of
Yes.
The Loveless. And I think notably during that whole section, she just kind of disappears into the background.
Yeah, sure.
You know, there's like a 15-minute section where you're like, oh, right, she's in this movie.
Yeah.
Because you're mostly watching the boys rip it up, draw some blood.
Amen.
And when
Um,
she like goes for a victim, she goes like seduction mode.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then she lets the other guy like pursue him. So she's kind of not playing it completely.
And she's
Yeah.
helpful. She's nice to
Yeah.
Pazdar when he's like, I don't want to kill people.
She seems to have a conscience in the way the others don't.
Well, especially, Paxton, who's now this movie shares 3 cast members with Aliens,
Right.
which came out the year before.
Our
Can
good
you name
friends.
them?
Yes, they're Jeanette Goldstein,
Yes,
Lance Henriksen,
Yes.
and Bill Paxton, my 3 best friends in the world.
exactly. The 3 great people. And she knew Cameron right around now, and they later marry.
Right. But they're starting to hang out, maybe.
Yes. So James Cameron, to be clear. So there's some sort of intertwining of
He
like.
said, like, hey, I built a
creative
rep company
juices
here if
there.
you want to borrow them for a weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
And she gets $5 million.
And the movie made less than that when it came out.
Made $3.4 million.
Oh.
But like very, very quickly grew.
Sure. I mean, became like a sort of well-regarded cult hit of the
Yeah.
80s. Yes,
And
I agree.
It feels very ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It also has one of the best posters of all time,
Agreed.
I think.
But like everything about this movie screams like Comic-Con to me now.
Sure. Yeah.
In the sort of obsession with taking like different genres and coming up with like very kind of everyday iconographic images and outfits and all that sort of stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The archetypes within it. I mean, it feels like this like totally predates Preacher.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
has like a very similar kind of sensibility.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like other genre Western, like how much of a thing was that before? Where it's like X genre plus Western.
Right.
Cowboy versus Aliens.
Yeah, well, the greatest. I mean, it all leads up to Cowboys versus Aliens.
Yes.
That's
right?
why it all came together.
This is the beginning of the snake, and Cowboy versus Aliens is I don't know.
There's Bone Hammer or
Bone Tomahawk.
Tomahawk.
That movie's just like, what if some white guys got eaten
Right.
and cut into pieces?
The mashups of genres in that movie are Western and racism.
Yeah.
Those are the two genres that are being put together.
Racism movies are my favorite genre.
They're really, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, there's kind of that thing where like people go like, well, racism movies are meant for kids. Like, is it kind of infantilizing to watch racism movies? But I think when the craft is there, it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
What was I going to say? The Wikipedia page cites 2 previous vampire Western movies.
Yeah.
Curse of the Undead and Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
Right. So those both sound like we have a weekend. Let's make something. Slap some fangs in a cowboy
Billy
hat
the
together.
Kid versus Dracula looks like a lot of fun. John Carradine played Dracula in it.
That sounds amazing.
It was directed by I can't pronounce this, Orson Welles. No, it was directed by William Bodine.
Okay.
Who churned out many a picture.
Many pictures.
I mean, like, this guy's filmography is so in depth. It has
Wow.
to be like numbered.
Who
and
is
broken
he?
up
Into
by
decades. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's his quote. Wait, I want to read this now. These films are going to be made regardless of who directs them. There's a market for them, and the studios are going to continue to make them. I've been doing this long enough. I think I can make them as good or better than anyone else. Very sort of stoic.
Mm-hmm.
His last movie was Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter, so he never really gave up on
He
the
was
old
in the pocket.
mashup.
Yeah.
He just loves genre.
Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter? He couldn't meet Frankenstein?
Right. I also hope it's Dr. Frankenstein's daughter and not the monster's
Yeah,
daughter.
it's just a woman.
It's like my dad was a scientist. I'm more into like the arts.
This is pretty great. You're right. Yes.
Really?
That's what it's about.
Oh my god.
Sometime in the 1880s, Dr. Frankenstein's evil daughter Maria has
she's
moved
evil.
to the
Okay.
American West in order to use prairie lightning storms in her experiments on immigrant children
Oh.
snatched from a dying town. And she swaps out their brains with artificial brains. That's
Right.
nuts. That sounds great. I would totally watch
And
that.
Jesse James meets her?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
why
how
not?
does he fit into this?
Yeah.
Well, who apparently 2 gunslingers come to town. Jesse James, who has survived his reported killing in 1882,
Of course.
which the film addresses, and
So this is a sequel to the assassination of Jesse James
Seems
by the
like
coward
they-
Rob
By the
Ford.
coward
it
Rob.
seems
Yeah.
like they don't meet for quite a while. Like the confrontation comes like sort of in the last act of the movie.
So it's
Like
just sort of parallel
story.
narrative.
She's doing bad shit. He's riding into town. There's some business. I mean, it's
And they're
all
just,
of
like-
83 minutes long.
They just
so.
bump into each other in the street one day and
Yeah.
it's like, oops.
Sorry. And then they go their separate ways. End of film.
The
They just meet very
the
briefly.
tagline is "Roaring guns against raging monster." So it's his last movie.
Wow.
That sounds wonderful.
So this is near dark.
It's not exactly the same as this movie you
Uh,
just mentioned, but
No.
pretty bold still, like,
Right.
in terms of mixing genre.
Yeah, and just felt like an evolution of her trying to take all the themes she was interested in with The Loveless and put it into a more entertaining film. But it is
Yes.
a film with its own weird like. So this is what I find interesting about this movie.
Uh-huh.
Once he gets turned, and he gets turned very quickly,
Very early on,
right? It's just sort of this chance meeting. They
and
hit
it's
it
not
off.
a long movie. It's like
No.
an hour and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah. Once he gets turned, the movie just sort of becomes like this guy spends some time with vampires. You know?
Yeah, and they're basically just like evil drifters
On the
right?
road with vampires.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there is this sort of like, narrative, this hanging axe of like the dad's trying to find the son.
Sure.
They're coming after them, right?
Right.
At some point, these two roads are going to cross. But the movie just sort of like lets you live with these vampires for a while and just like see how they live, explore like the ins and outs of like their daily routine, how their culture works, their workarounds, their own weaknesses and all that sort of stuff. But the thing she really injects in the movie, which I don't think exists in The Loveless, and then becomes like a cornerstone of her career, I think her single strongest asset as a filmmaker is her ability to build tension.
Sure.
Like this movie has a lot of tension because every scene is playing off of this, like, are the vampires going to go buck wild? We know what vampires do.
They go buck wild.
They go buck
apparently.
wild.
Manu, how did you feel about this movie?
I really liked
you in.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
I had seen it before and I rewatched it for this. And I think it's really atmospheric, but not in a like whimsical way. Like it's
Right.
atmospheric because of the music and the way it's shot. There's a lot of slow-mo.
The music,
The
Tangerine
music
Dream.
is incredible.
Great
Yeah.
Tangerine Dream score. Yes.
But I think it's atmospheric also for what you said. Like it really builds tension and it really paints those characters as like real characters, like really
Yeah.
complex, and they keep like kind of fighting each other even when they belong to the same group.
Yep.
So yeah, there's like a lot of there's like a real bad vibe throughout.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That's the big love list for me,
Yeah.
is that she like wants you to spend time with people who make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Hey, she likes to make movies about assholes.
Right.
Even when you like the asshole.
And it's this sort of like multi-character study that doesn't really have like very clear narrative stakes, but
Yeah.
each scene has its own like internal tension to it, which is kind of interesting.
yes.
And then she just like hones that sense of tension every film from here on out.
I also sort of noticed that there's a lot of punk-esque characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool because I feel like, has done well with portraying those types. Whereas like other times they just are so caricatures and just like people who have no idea about that subculture trying to represent it.
And that's the other thing. I'm not going to keep on hitting this thing relentlessly. That's the other big overlap with this. And the love list for me is like she's using punks who are kind of like the greasers of this time period, and she's depicting vampires rather than being like monsters as like a weird counterculture,
Yeah.
like a creepy counterculture, and then heightening that by like also they're gonna slit your throat.
And that's what she does then with Point Break as well. Like with
Right.
the
Yep.
surfers,
Right.
they are a counterculture.
Right, the most
and-
menacing culture we have.
Yeah.
So
So
that
menacing.
becomes like a
Oh my
more
gosh.
gentle culture, and then
Yeah.
it turns out to be menacing.
Yeah.
Yep. No, but that's true.
Right.
They're very much like in Point Break. They're very much against like the establishment and stuff.
Yes.
And she really like always depicts those groups as like a family. And I haven't seen the Love List, but in Near Dark, it really feels like a family, and a family that like there's like the mom and dad, kind of like the two, like the old guy,
Yeah.
and
Nixon and Goldstein. I guess.
Goldstein,
yeah. They're like the mom and dad, and there's like the younger one who he says. You don't know what it's like to like be a grown up in the body of a
Right, there's
child,
the-
but
the
he's
weird
a
kid.
Yeah, but he's still a
Character's
kid.
so good.
Yeah,
That character, I mean,
He's really good.
isn't that always the best kind of vampire character?
Such
Andy
a good
Milonakis
premise.
vampire.
Right, like Kirsten Dunst in Interview
Yeah.
with the Vampire, right? Yeah, the eternal child.
Yeah.
Right. I just like that he has such a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, sure.
And that he's also such a little shit.
He's
like
a little
he keeps
shit.
on
Yes.
using the fact that he's a kid in really abusive ways.
And then what's his name? Bill Paxton is the wayward, sort of wild card child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the rebel
Yeah.
kid.
This
who's
is
so
like
good.
goes in trouble.
Yes, so much fun.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've like had to talk about Paxton since he died. Right?
Is that true? Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Because we did our whole Cameron series, and like Paxton kept on coming up, and he died like very shortly after that.
And he died. I feel like he died like right around when our dumb episode about the fucking Titanic documentary that he's in dropped.
I think he died a little
remember.
bit after that.
Maybe.
But I remember we like
Died
spotlighted
February of this year.
how great he was in that documentary.
He's fucking fantastic.
And then I got so sad watching him in this movie just because I was reminded of this quality I think he had, which like he always looked like he was having so much fun in movies.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Without like destroying the movie, you get such a like pure sense of joy from him, and I
Yes.
don't know how many people I feel that way about now. I don't think that's like essential to being a good actor, but he had this unique quality where it was just like, God, good for Bill. He's having a good time.
Yeah, he just loved his job.
Right,
so much.
yeah.
right. He loved his
Yeah.
job.
It's nice.
You get the sense that he
Yeah.
just was so happy I get to play a vampire and wear the leather jacket.
And this is
Yeah.
early in his career.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's popping up all through the 80s, and he's the punk in the Terminator.
Mhm.
But I feel like Aliens is his first big role.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is the year after that.
Right.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really, hit, I feel like, until True Lies, right? Like,
Well, then
just
Twister is the first time they actually like put him at the center of
Twister
something.
and Apollo
Yeah.
13. And
Right.
yeah. But like, yes. But like, yeah, I guess he's in Predator 2.
That is such
He's
an
in One
amazing
False Move,
filmography.
which he's
Yeah.
the star of, and that's a cool movie.
Yeah.
Trespass. Yeah. Hey man, he's
Just
the
kept
star of that
tracking.
too. So
Yeah.
he'd been okay. All right. Yeah.
But like in Near Dark, he's playing such a loud person, but it doesn't feel like he's just doing it because he wants to have fun. Like
Yeah.
it really fits with the story.
It never seems like he's
Yeah.
chewing scenery, which I think is
Yeah.
the biggest compliment I could give about him
Like,
in this movie.
right.
I don't know like what other actor could have played this part like this and not be like super annoying.
Sure. Well, I think the key
It's
to
really
it
amazing.
is the having fun thing, because these guys are just like these vampires in the movie are just like hedonists.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they just live for the sake of living and do whatever they want.
Like
dying.
bikers, like
Right.
cowboys, right? Like many, yes.
Right. And so you need, like, for that character, you need someone who you're really seeing the enjoyment in that lifestyle rather
Yeah.
than it just being cruel,
Right.
you know? But that's the weird thing this movie does, is it weirdly, like, humanizes the vampires by spending that much time with them, even though it kind of refuses to give them a central humanity.
Yes.
But it makes their lifestyle so seductive. Like it
Right.
looks amazing. Like it looks like so much fun.
Right.
Especially in contrast to the farm family life that the
Yeah.
main character has. Like,
Yeah.
that looks super boring. But
Very
being a vampire looks so cool. Like being a vampire
Yeah.
looks like you just blow up stuff, you burn the cars you use, and then you just move on and you go anywhere else, and you know
you'll
you do
never
that forever.
die
Yeah.
unless the sun touches you.
Because this
Right.
is like one of the rare vampire movies that isn't a horror movie at all. Like it has horror elements.
No, but it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
There's,
Right.
there's not a lot of
I saw some
Uh,
reviews saying it's like one of the best horror movies of the 80s. It's not a horror movie.
At all. At all.
Yeah.
It just has like horror.
You could call
elements.
it a western,
Right.
And I guess you could sort of call it a thriller. Like it's kind of a very low key thriller.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a lot of like bloody moments. Like,
Yeah, and
really intense.
The last
So-
20 minutes, there's more going on. You know,
Yeah,
there's some,
and like
some,
the bar thing, like is really intense. Like
That's a
the
good
scene.
scene.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's an amazing scene.
and
good.
you know, a car blows up. Like there's some
Yeah,
shit that
a
happens.
truck, a car.
Yeah, a truck. Yeah,
Sure. But
People
like.
blow up
right.
too.
Yeah. It's
Right.
cool.
This movie essentially starts with what would be the final scene of a horror movie.
What, him getting turned? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, right, yeah.
Or they'd stretch that
Find
thing
a
out
list
for
of
much
vampire
longer.
films. Oh, there's too many.
Yeah, it's a robust genre.
But I'm trying to like, I'm just trying to figure out like where this was in the like, sort of in the vampire movie. Apart from
Sure.
Fright Night had come out, which is a great movie. I love Fright Night.
I do too.
But like what else? Like The Hunger is not that long before.
Which is
The,
a very different.
Yeah, lesbian vampires. With Deneuve. Is that and Susan Sarandon.
It's more of a I
An
feel
erotic
like
vampire
pansexual
thriller.
vampire.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
But I feel like
David
Neo Dark
Bowie.
is super erotic too. Like
Yes.
when she first like gives him
The
her
arm?
hand, that's insane.
Yeah,
like
that
I
scene-
can't believe
yeah.
that passed. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
So
I mean-
but it's cool. It's like you can't make a vampire movie and not like draw the comparison between
Right.
sex and vampirism. Like that's just what it's about.
Right.
So.
It's an
Yes.
inherently right.
Yeah.
That's always been that's what fucking
Yeah.
Bram Stoker's getting at, right?
Yeah.
Like Dracula's a hedonist. He's got all
Right.
his ladies. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's that whole thing that like all the kind of like classic iconic monsters each represent like a different basic elemental human fear.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And like vampires are sexuality, and like the Wolfman is sort of like, you know, the evil within us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Frankenstein
Right, yes,
is
right.
like fear of death and like all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing it's tapping into. But that's like a thing. She's playing with so many different types of tension in this movie without
many.
being a horror movie where it's like it's the sexual tension of that, it's the comedic tension of like the dark humor and sort of the fun they're having with these things. It's the tension of when they're gonna burst, because it's a lot of slow burn stuff before you get these bursts that are very violent.
Yeah.
But they're kind of spread apart.
You know, you got Coppola's Dracula.
That's later.
in 92.
Yeah.
I mean,
tried
I'm
watching
trying
that
to see
one. Yeah,
like
right.
what came after this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, comes out in 92, which is trying as well to merge genres.
Sure.
And it's bad at it. The movie's bad
Yeah.
at it.
I feel like a lot of just sort of like the vampire lifestyle rules that this movie establishes are like a lot of the things that are being used in What We Do in the Shadows.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it's so good.
It's great.
It's
Yeah,
really
people
great.
like it, right? Because
It's
I've
great.
seen,
Yeah.
you know, shit just got real. What the fuck's it called?
Boy?
No.
Hunt for the Wilder
Hunt for
People?
the Wilder People.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Oh, that one's so cute. You
Yeah,
get
that
it.
one's great.
It's great. It's a great little movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows, I think, is his best movie. But
I know what you mean. Like, it's like very much like, how do they live every day? How do they make it work to, like, they have to kill people, but also like it sucks to kill people, but anyway they have to do it. Yeah.
that overlap is big because you're just spending so much time with these people. It's just the sort of like
the world building stuff.
The bit with him like eating the chocolate bar, and it's like, oh fuck, they have to eat blood.
Yeah.
There's no other option.
Yeah.
Like What We Do in the Shadows gets like a lot of mileage out of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they do a lot of like sort of very pragmatic like answering of like filling in the gaps in vampire mythology.
Like, all the questions you've ever wanted to ask about vampires.
Like Buffy does that. True Blood did that. Like there are so many TV shows that have like dug into like, what if vampires day to day?
But this comes early.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
I think she like.
Well, look, come on. The first one, as we said, is, I already forgot the name of it, like Jesse James meets, the ability to kid versus Dracula.
Right.
That was the beginning of wondering, what is Dracula's life like day to day?
Yeah. Has he ever hung out with Billy the Kid? They were the original two friends.
The world's,
people don't know that.
The West's deadliest gunfighter, the world's most diabolical killer. That's the tagline for that one.
That isn't how I would describe Dracula if given 3 chances.
What, the world's most diabolical killer?
Yeah, I'd choose different words.
Yeah,
I don't know
things
if
to
that's,
say about him. Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely like the most diabolical like landowner. You know what I mean? Like most diabolical like baron.
Sure.
Well, other than Baron Trump.
But I mean, the thing about Dracula
I forgot,
that
kids
I
are
love,
off limits.
Please. The thing about Dracula that I love, I mean, not that this is a Dracula movie, obviously. This is a vampire movie right there. Mm-hmm. But like Dracula's like, yeah, I do like to eat people, suck their blood, sleep in a coffin, but like, come to me, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like go to you and like eat your, you know, you can come to my house, you know, and then like I'll lay it on and we'll have dinner and then I'll fucking eat your neck.
Right. Dracula's whole strategy was like, let me just have the best house of all time.
Right. A house that's so fucking weird that people just gotta come see it.
Right.
That works because then nobody comes out, no one finds them. Whereas in Near Dark, they have to roam
they gotta
the
keep
streets
going.
and then they get chased by police.
They get blown the fuck up.
And a mobile home is no home. I mean, this is no life they're living. Going from motel to motel.
Yeah.
So what's the plot of this movie?
Doesn't really happen.
You got
Very
Caleb
American.
Colton, played by Adrian Pasdar, who had been in Top Gun.
Okay, right.
But in a
Small
tiny role.
Sure.
But I guess who's, you know, I mean, what do you think of Adrian Pasdar? He kind of looks like Frankenstein. He's got this sort of baby handsome face.
Yeah.
But it's all weird and elongated.
Sure.
It's
and
a bit
very
like
square.
Jake Gyllenhaal in
Interesting.
I think like in Brokeback, because also he's dressed like a cowboy.
Sure.
Yeah, that made me think of that.
He has
He
a
has
bit
big
of
eyebrows.
He's handsome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think of Pasdar in general? Because he was, I mean, I think of him as two different things. I think of him as like, you know, pretty 80s Pasdar.
And then Heroes.
Yeah, but more Prophet, you know, the show Prophet, which was like the like text for the later Breaking Bad, Sopranos, whatever. Like the idea of like, what if we made a show about a bad person? You know, like, but when that came out in 95, everyone was like, what is this? And he like sleeps naked in a box and he like, you know, do you remember this show?
No, not
heard of this?
0%.
It sounds way too twisted.
It was very twisted. It was about like an executive at a multinational conglomerate who like, you know, will stop at nothing to make money. And his name is Jim Profit.
Is his name?
This is a good show, to be clear.
He was born to make profit.
It was on Fox. He talks to the audience and he basically just like does all kinds of insane shit. And
it's like House of Cards.
Sleeps as he did as a child, which is curled up in a shipping box naked. This show aired like one episode and Fox was like, excuse me? No. And it was immediately canceled.
So it didn't make any profit.
No, it did not.
5 penalty points.
It only 5 episodes were broadcast before Fox canceled it.
Oh.
Okay.
That's not so bad. 5 is a good
protested all over the United States from the usual suspects. And
wow.
From Big Shipping Box, who didn't like their depiction.
Sure. And it was created by David Greenwalt, who then went on to create the TV show Angel, another vampire TV show with Joss Whedon.
You know how where Adrian Pasdar's bread is mostly buttered these days, right?
You tell me.
Weird fact about him: he is the guy who like voices Iron Man in everything.
I knew that actually. Yes, in all the like cartoons, the
video
Avengers
games,
cartoons
and everything.
And yes,
every other depiction of Iron Man
you look at
essentially is Adrian Pasdar.
He does a lot of
That's a sweet
voices.
gig.
He's got a nice voice.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's like it's weird because he was doing like Iron Man cartoons before the movie came out, and he's retained the job, but they clearly push him towards like Downey Jr. now.
Right.
So he's got to do like Downey Jr. jazzy, like kind of like interesting.
Sure, that's harder to rip off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also directed a film called Cement in 2000, starring the extremely bankable Chris Penn.
Wow. He's also married to a Dixie chick.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We really had fun with Adrian Pasdar. No, they're divorced.
Ooh.
Oh,
Or they broke up.
sad.
I'm sorry to say. Natalie Maines, they were married for 17 years, but in this July, they divorced.
Wow.
Sorry.
You want to hear a crazy story that's completely off topic?
No.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Sorry.
I appreciate your support.
No worries.
There was, I think, a fourth member of the Dixie Chicks who fell in love and left the band. She was like the backbeat of the Dixie Chicks.
Mm-hmm.
She was either replaced or they used to have four.
Well, there are only 3 Dixie Chicks.
Right. I can't remember if she was
right.
one of the 3 or if there were 4 and they left one and kept going. But she left the band. She married my
Yes,
cousin,
Robin Lynn Macy.
right, cousin once removed by marriage or something.
Oh, sure.
She like married into someone who divorced out of my family.
Okay.
And it was like, that was always the thing of like, oh, can you believe it? Like she could have been a Dixie chick.
Sure,
Oh.
sure.
And then she got the plague.
She got the plague?
Yes.
Like,
Oh, no.
did she die?
That's not a
No,
funny
she's
they
story.
still alive.
survived.
Still alive.
Okay.
Like the disease, the plague.
I believe I'm not confusing this. I believe she got the plague.
There's no mention of her getting the plague on Wikipedia, but that's not
That's no one has the plague now.
They were
You
the
know,
first
the-
people to get the plague. Like this couple, they went like vacationing and they got the plague,
right.
and they were the first people in America to get the plague in like 40 years.
It does once in a while pop back up though, the plague.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually not in America, obviously.
Wow.
But you know,
Oh, Dave.
it's a bacterial infection. Oh, you don't like me
David's
looking at
Googling
the
the
plague,
plague.
right now?
Oh.
It's fun. Oh, sorry, buddy.
Mm.
The plague. You know, you got the little weird bumps.
So this movie starts just like looking like Urban Cowboy or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of like dramatic, atmosy, Tangerine Dream, cowboy, trucker kind of stuff.
The
Yeah.
shot when he first sees her is so beautiful. Like
Great.
it's like kind of, I think it's slow mo, or maybe it's just her the way she acts. Because in that film, she's so, I don't remember her name, but
Her name is Jenny Wright.
yeah, she's so like whimsical and like just like all over the place and never really there. But the way she moves is so weird and captivating. She's like a I don't know, like she makes me think of a butterfly. And when he sees her, I don't know if it's slow mo, if it's just the way she moves, but she's so like looking around, and he's like, I'm gonna talk to this girl, and it's like the music starts there, and like the whole like meetup is just drowned in that atmospheric music, and it's like
And it's very
so
accelerated. Like
atmospheric.
it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, they're hitting it off. Like they
Yeah.
barely talk.
Yeah.
He walks up to her.
Yeah.
They go ride together.
It's,
you know?
it's a very like movie meetup.
right,
Like,
right. It's this.
don't
yeah.
need words, just
Right.
connection.
It's just a connection. And this
Yeah.
whole movie is very dark. It's near dark.
Well, it's at night.
But they always kind of like make her pop in terms of lighting. Like she's kind of
Yeah.
like
Got
this
this
like
shock of
Yeah,
yellow
yeah.
hair.
There's a lot of like chiaroscuro lighting, which is like
Yes.
shadows in
Right.
her face and also stark light, and she's very pale,
right.
and
Very
it works
pale.
so well.
Which was
Really
like
works.
that was a thing this movie was like criticized for at the time, which was like, oh, so it makes sense this director used to be a painter. She's like so obsessed with these composition of these images, and she's not even like telling a story.
Yeah, was that
really?
was that Siskel?
Yeah, I think so. You recognize my impression.
I
give it a one thumb up my butt. That's my Siskel impression.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But that's but
That's a dumb criticism. Sorry.
It's very dumb. Movies should look good.
Yeah.
Well, right, and
It's
also
cinema.
it's pretty
Yeah.
it's a pretty obvious reflection of what she's going for, right? I mean,
Right.
It's not like that's like out of place. In
It's
a
not like
vampire
it's
movie.
style for style's sake, and also
Yeah.
it's a heightened genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wants to go home with her, I guess, and she's like, no, and then bites him on the neck. Am I missing
Oh yeah,
anything
no,
there?
he's driving her to like see a horse.
That's right.
And
yes.
and when
they
he
have a nice
first-
little horse adventure.
Yeah, and when he first sees her, he goes to talk to her, and he says, and she's eating an ice cream, and he says, "Can I have a bite?" And she's like, "What?" It's so funny in retrospect. It's so on the nose.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they go see a horse.
I wish there was a scene later where he was like, "Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
The bite thing,
It's
I
like,
get it. I didn't
that
realize
was
you were a
funny."
vampire at the time. Now it's funny,"
Yeah, and they never say the word vampire in the whole film.
which I love.
But also,
yeah.
like, it's like, have you never like heard of the concept of vampires? Like, why would you not mention it once?
Sure,
You know?
sure.
Like, it's not because you live in the middle of America and you're like a farmer that you don't know what vampires are. So maybe you should like know the word. I don't know.
Maybe educate yourself. But maybe this is set in a world where vampires are real and thus we don't know about them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like...
Is this a world without vampire storytelling?
Sure.
Right.
But real vampires.
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 But usually, I mean, like a show like True Blood, they're like...
You're a vampire.
Where it's like, oh my God, you're a vampire. Do you do all this stuff? And they're like, a lot of that stuff's exaggerated, you know, but sure. I mean, I do drink blood.
Right.
You have fangs.
Whereas like in this, no one seems to recognize the characteristics of a vampire.
Yeah.
Like they just go, what the fuck are you?
Yeah.
But no one ever goes like, wait a second. Vampire,
Oh,
right?
wait,
Am I right?
Oh, no, this is ringing a bell.
Wait a second. Not Creature from the Black Lagoon. What's the other one? You're vampire.
I mean, it's very practical in terms of story that no one knows it. But it's cool. Like, it works.
Yeah.
So you're saying this is set in the world of Dracula Untold, where vampire stories have been untold.
It's a Dracula
They have
Untold.
not been told.
Right. It's a prequel to our culture. This movie takes place before Dracula Untold was made.
Yep.
Right.
Before Twilight, before everything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
that works.
Do you know the last time this movie was available on home video before the rights got all fucked up?
I don't know, like 20 years ago? Like, give me it.
They re-released it like 10 years ago on Blu-ray and DVD where they made the cover just Twilight.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
They made like...
Oh, yes, you're right.
Yes.
Here it is. And this is the one
God.
that's like $60.
Right. Adrian Pasdar's face is like stark white.
Yeah, it is
and
literally
it's literally
a
like
poster.
the Twilight poster.
You know,
Disgusting.
like... You know, it's like sexy, right?
That's awful.
Which is crazy because the image of Paxton all burned up with the like bullet holes and the sun streaming or the light streaming through him is such a like
That's so much
perfect
better.
image,
right?
And I remember when I was a kid, this movie was in, I think, you know, Empire Magazine, which I've spoken of a lot. It was my childhood touchstone for me. They used to release these special issues that were like the 50 best blah genre movies, and I think Near Dark's in the action one.
Okay.
And I remember just seeing that image and being like, whoa. And also being like, best
Yeah, that's
image.
an amazing poster.
Being like immediately transfixed and like, I gotta see this. So that's when I saw the movie way back when. I think I rented it on VHS.
Nice.
Hadn't seen it since. Watched it on my laptop.
Yeah, we had to find a legal streaming link.
I've never done anything illegal in my life.
No,
I
it's
don't
the
know what
first
you're
time.
talking about.
First time ever.
I was on the plane. This one.
I do love Humble Brag, although we paid for it, so you know.
Yeah, so you should be proud.
Humble Brag that we spent $5,000.
$5,000? Wait,
5,000?
to fly from Toronto?
Yeah, it was a private jet.
Oh,
Seriously?
yeah. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, which is a good deal on a private jet.
Yeah. And also you had to
sure.
pay for the film. So
Right, we
that's
had to pay
like
for the film. We had to pay
so
another
much money.
$5,000.
It was a 35 millimeter print on the plane.
Yeah, we had to buy a projection system and we had to train a steward to like use it.
And because the flight is so short, you had to actually just drive me around a bit.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Yeah. They were
Because
like,
it's too short.
don't land right away.
Yeah,
Maybe
just
circle LaGuardia for half an
Exactly.
hour. Yeah.
Thank God Blank Check got the MacArthur Genius Grant. Otherwise, we would be fucked right now.
What if we got, how much do you get for that?
$1 million, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah, you should try.
Because I remember they gave it to Lin-Manuel Miranda last year, and it was just kind of
Oh
like,
my
that guy
God.
doesn't need, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, it's $625,000.
Okay, I mean,
Okay, that's not quite enough for a jet, but that's pretty good.
well,
Yeah, it's okay. Paid out in quarterly installments over 5 years.
Okay.
Fine, whatever.
okay.
It's pretty good.
I like how quickly this movie gets through all of that stuff, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like she,
I mean, yes, I agree.
she turns him like minute 9.
Sure,
maybe
it's very fast.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Right, and it just sort of is like they have this weird connection. We're not going to take the time to do like meet cute, awkward banter sort of stuff. They like see each other, they fall for each other.
Yeah, and I like how instead of taking time in like just doing a classic meet cute thing, it's just super weird and poetic because she keeps saying stuff like, "Oh, look at the night, like it's deafening." You're like, what? And then she says things like, wait, what did she say? She says something like, the night is so bright and just really
Yes, that's a great line
things.
right early
it's so
on,
beautiful.
where she's talking about the stars
Yeah.
and
It's like, look at this star.
And he's
By
just
the time
thinking,
the
like,
light reaches here, I will still be here because I'll be alive
it's $1
forever.
billion. I mean,
Yeah.
$1 billion years, not $1 billion.
Well, and the movie almost frames her as like an angel for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like she has this very ethereal way of moving and the way she's
angel of
lit
death.
and the fact that he's just sort of drawn to her and then she starts biting them necks.
Hey, man.
He tries to get her to stay out late. he thinks it's a curfew issue.
He's like, it's because of your daddy, and she's
Yes.
like, right.
He's also being gross.
He's gross.
He is.
It's so that's
Yeah,
what I
he's a
love the
little
most.
gross.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing is how he's like, okay, I'll drive you. Like he stops the car and he's like, I'll drive you to your daddy. If you like kiss me, that's like the least you can do. It's
Right.
like
Then he throws
super
the
gross.
keys down his shirt.
Yeah, and then like obviously she kisses him, but then like she bites him and he's
Yeah.
a fucking vampire and then he's in pain forever. It's
That's
so
what
good.
you get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're gross with girls.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Every
a,
time.
it's a good move by her to
Yeah.
bite him. But the only problem, in my opinion, is like you bite the guy, then he's like, what do I do? I'm a vampire now. And you have to like teach him
Yeah.
how to be a vampire.
That's the problem. It was like a really cool move for her in the moment, and then she's like,
Right,
"Oh
yeah.
fuck!" I just like
Now
wrote
it's
this
like-
big like.
Yeah, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it means he's gonna stay with her forever. It's pretty cool, and he's like at her mercy.
Yes. I just wonder,
So if that's what you want. That's cool.
like, how quickly. That's the thing. Like being a vampire requires like a really strong sense of commitment. You know?
Yeah.
Because you just like really have to think about these like circumstances you're creating for yourself, and it's like, you really want to spend the rest of your life with this guy?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
well,
that's
not
the
just the
thing.
rest of your life, the rest of
All
immortal
time.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you happen to like, go outside in the daytime.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sure.
But very easy to avoid
Oops.
that.
Vampires. What am I thinking?
So very quickly, like he's sort of on the side of the road, staggering,
Sure.
and gets
Yeah.
picked up by this RV.
Yes.
And I like their weird kind of like makeshift thrift store armor that they have on for like the quick moments they have to like go out into the sunlight.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's so good.
They think he's just some pathetic fuck. They're gonna like drain a blood.
Right.
And then she's like,
She's
I got some bad news for you.
Bad news, guys.
I turned him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you've
And
got...
she's like, you can't kill him, or you have to kill me first. And
Right.
so they're like, okay, cool. He has to prove himself.
right.
He has to prove that he can kill someone.
Hooker, who is
Right.
Lance Henriksen. He's the one who's like, right, you got a week to prove you're like a real vampire.
And Catherine Bigelow, in a move that shows that she's a true artist, said, I like Lance Henriksen, but can we add more weird lines to his face? And gave him prosthetic scars. The
Boy, oh
crevices
boy.
weren't deep enough in his cheeks.
What a legend he is.
the best.
We've talked
He's
about him a
incredible.
lot, but he's great.
Yeah.
He's kind of like what if Jonathan Pryce like sort of was like a candle who melted in the sun or something? You know what I mean? Like he looks kind of like 50%
And that's a compliment.
Jonathan
Yeah,
Pryce.
'cause
Yeah,
he
no,
looks
it's a
great.
total compliment.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah,
He's so good.
he's great. And
And then so she's helping him along by having her like drink from her
Right.
after she eats something.
It's like a
Yeah.
baby bird kind of
yeah,
like,
exactly. Like
Feed
the
it
mom
back.
like barfing
So
into the
gross.
bird's
Right.
mouth. Yeah.
but it's a wildly sexual scene.
Sure, yeah. In a movie with no sex, it's
Right.
quite sexy.
It's insanely erotic.
yeah,
Why won't
that's
she
what
make another
cinema is so
sexy
good
movie?
about it. That's why cinema is good. You can like make sexy stuff out of the limits.
Right.
Like
Agreed.
in Hollywood, you can't always show sex, and so what do? You have fucking vampires.
Right.
like drinking each
suggestion
other's
and-
blood.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie
Suggestion, eh?
is very sexy. The Loveless is, as we all know, the sexiest movie ever made.
Sure.
Point Break is super sexy.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievably sexy.
But like,
Yeah.
I feel like she's gotten away from that. And why can't she make
Yeah,
now? She just
Detroit
makes.
is not sexy.
You know what?
It's not.
No.
It's many things, but it's not sexy.
And like, why can't she go back to making something more heightened like
Yeah.
this?
I would also
Catherine.
I would love to see her try to make a genre film again
Yeah.
with her new sort of sensibilities.
Right, and I
Yeah.
get that she
Her
like,
evolution as a
wanted to
filmmaker.
stop doing that. Like, that was always her
Because she was
thing.
pigeonholed and,
right.
and all of that.
But now that I feel like Detroit flopped
Yeah.
and
Yes.
won't get any Oscar attention,
And got some
barring
pretty problematic reviews.
Yeah.
sure. It's like she's
and,
got to do
and the
something
Bowl
new, right?
collaboration maybe isn't surviving.
Well, I mean, to me, that's the issue. So
I
we'll
agree.
see.
But like I'd like her to not rip something from the headlines next time, but
Yeah.
rip something from the funny books.
You want to make
Hey.
a comedy?
No, I'm just funny books.
Oh, you mean
just
like comic books.
like take
Yeah.
some sort of genre tropes and try to marry it to her new sort of like her ethical like
Yeah.
sort of humanistic.
But she's just
Moral
gotten
dilemma
so
filmmaking.
political now.
She's gotten so political.
Yeah, and it's cool to have a woman making really political movies
Yeah.
like that, and with big budgets and
Yeah,
stuff.
for
but,
sure.
But she was so good at genre
Agreed.
stuff.
And her movies have also gotten like increasingly literal. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
her style of quote unquote realism is still a style. Like,
Yeah.
it is a sense of stylization, but she hasn't made a movie that's this heightened. And it would be cool to see her take all of her political concerns and make it more allegorical
Yeah.
and try to do
And throw
Something.
in like parkour.
yes.
Just what needs to make a comeback is
That was my single
Parkour.
biggest
I mean-
issue with Detroit was the lack
No
of
No
parkour.
parkour.
Yeah.
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 I agree.
That's
that was definitely the
I mean,
issue with that.
that was the
movie.
problematic
Yeah.
element.
Yeah.
I
was
mean,
the lack
she
of
made
parkour.
surfers jumping off planes look like a thing that makes sense. So
Yep.
why not?
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
So
Kathy, let's do it.
Let's
we
do it.
believe in
Make
you.
a space movie. I don't know.
Please, a space movie.
That's what I'd love to see
Yeah.
her do, like
Yeah.
an original big budget genre film, like that. I'd love to see her make a cool space movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if she'll do it. I don't know. I don't know what she wants to do.
It's kind of an
Yeah.
exciting point in her career
Sure.
right now because
Yeah.
it feels like she could zag in any direction.
She kind of reached a point break.
Oh boy.
Hey,
These
12
are
profundity points.
strange days for her.
these are strange days.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the weight of water is bearing down on her shoulders.
Maybe she should make the weight of water too.
Yeah.
The weight of
Hyperweight.
The weight of air. Yeah, sure. Yeah, great.
the weight of what to her.
So yeah.
Very.
Okay, I lost many points here.
No.
Okay, so near dark.
The next thing that happens is the bar scene, but
Pretty
there's a
much.
lot of other stuff in between where I feel like
Yeah.
they're just kind of shambling around.
But
Like there's nothing really crucial.
you're just kind
until
of
the
living.
bar
It
scene.
almost like becomes like a tour documentary. You know, it's like you're
yeah.
watching this band on the road.
Yeah,
and
right.
seeing
It's
them,
about like Leonard
Right.
Skinner's
It's about-
later.
yeah.
Right, it's like Gimme Shelter with
Yeah.
slightly less murder.
More actually.
I think an equivalent amount, maybe. Yeah.
I love the scene where like they steal a car, like Bill Paxton steals a car, and then they abandon their van and just like set fire to it. And there are many beautiful shots of them against the backdrop of the fire. And
Yes.
it's really, really hot in that sense. It's really good.
Yeah, but
It's very punk.
the bar is really like the centerpiece of the
Yeah.
movie, where you get to see them like fully vamp
Yeah.
out.
Right.
Yeah. Also, you know the scene where
Max uses his spurs.
you know when
So cool.
Yeah.
when Caleb, the main guy, tries to like take a bus back home, he stops in the town and the cinema is showing Aliens.
That's right.
Aliens.
Aliens.
So that's a nice note.
I like that whole stretch
Yeah.
though, where he
Yeah.
just like hasn't really processed what's going on.
The
thinks he
refusal
can
of the
leave it.
call, if
Yes.
you will. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Sort
that's such an interesting scene as well because he's like trying to get help and people are just like, oh, you like he has to pay $14 to get the bus and he only has 11 and
Right.
like no one wants to help him. So
And
he
everyone's
really
like,
like
are you strung out on like
yeah.
heroin or
and
something?
and it's like really a critique of how outcasts are so not helped by the
Right.
system. and
He
stuff
is so
in
rejected
America.
by society
Yeah.
now that like he has no choice but to go back to the vampires.
Yeah.
Like even removing the like physiological elements of his survival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they might not be great company, but they're the only people who are like supporting him at
Yeah.
this point.
So it's a nice, like,
Sorry.
as we were saying, like, it's like a kind of a political point, but not as on the nose as she does now.
Yes.
It's kind of like a commentary on America and like how outcasts.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, and,
it's
which
really
is the
nice.
classic Western thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
if you want to identify with the outlaws, give me a reason. And like, you sort of, it's like America's trash country.
Yeah.
And
He was just asking for help, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I would fucking run away from him. He
Yeah.
is pale and shaking. He looks like he's about to throw up on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he's the kind of guy on a bus when you're like walking down trying to pick your seat. You're like, not next to him.
Gets
Yeah.
turned on when he sees that the cop has a gash on his hand.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's
Yeah.
a nice
It is
touch.
good. It is good.
Yeah.
It's super gross.
He's good. He's good, Pastor.
He's good in
He's
this.
good.
Yeah.
It's kind of the most annoying role because he's like the whiner, but still, he's good.
Well, and then he just sort of becomes like the audience viewpoint for a good chunk of the movie.
Right.
Like you're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sort of using him as a conduit to like he's your entry point to be able to watch these people live their life.
Right.
Yeah.
So he rejoins them,
Right.
and then there's this whole bar section
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like this powder keg under the table, which is like they're going to eat somebody. Who are they going to eat? When are they going to do it? And why is this taking so long?
Sure.
So
But it's
good.
like that's the fun of it for them.
So it's especially Bill Paxton's character. He's like, for him, it's a sport. Like
Yeah.
literally, he doesn't just want the blood. He wants to like
Draw it
emotionally
out.
manipulate the people, and
Yeah.
it's so good. He's so good at it.
Well, and they're
Because
also,
there's so much passion to what
Right.
like a vampire is, right? Like
Yeah.
it makes sense. Like rather than just like, got to eat someone, you just sort of drag someone behind a tree. I don't, like.
and also like life doesn't have stakes for them anymore.
yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
It gives
No pun
meaning.
intended. But so it's like for them it's like it's the singer not the song because it's like, well, we got to eat people it doesn't matter. We can burn down the bar. Like, nothing's going to catch us.
Right.
So, like, let's at least have fun doing it. Like, how are we going to throw it off the hump and do something different than we did last night?
Yeah.
It's like a show. Like, they're just showmen.
It's very performative.
Yeah.
Right. And then the kind of game of one-upsmanship of them trying to, like, I think impress each other by their levels of cruelty.
Yeah. And like the different techniques, like everyone has different technique to seduce people into killing them, and it's really, really interesting. Like Bill Paxton is just like insanely aggressive with people.
Right.
Like he just provokes them until they beat him up.
Right.
And the girl, she just like is like, come and dance with me, and they dance, and then like they all have different approaches, and it's the tension that builds in this room is insane.
It's
like
so good.
when I first saw that movie, I was so shocked, and I remembered so much of it when I rewatched it because it's so traumatizing. Like
Right. And
it's like the nightmare scenario when you go in a bar.
yes, it's the nightmare scenario, and you go like, okay, which one are they going to eat? And then when it becomes clear that they're just going to burn the whole place down, they're going to fucking take down everyone and destroy all evidence. Like that tension is replaced with just like a weird form of horror. Like it becomes very morally
You're
uncomfortable.
just waiting for hell to happen.
Right, because you're just watching a series of executions, essentially.
Yeah.
And James LeGros just stands there, blank-faced, jaw agape.
He's going to be in Point Break. Is he in anything else of hers?
I don't think so. He's in the Point Break remake.
Oh, is
Oh,
he?
God.
He plays one of the elder FBI agents
Oh,
in that.
no.
Yeah. He's on the other side of the law.
He's a fucking genius. Just, I mean, we'll talk about him in Point Break, but he's a fucking genius. I think James LeGros is like one of the funniest actors alive.
Have you ever checked out James LeGros' IMDb profile, like the bio and stuff?
No, is it one of those weird ones where it looks like it was written by James LeGros?
Yeah, and it's just all about the joke of him being like a funnier looking Brad Pitt.
It isn't hard to make James
Yeah,
LeGros
that's
bust a gut
insane.
laughing. Just call him Brad Pitt. So he doesn't get $6 million a film. I think Brad Pitt gets more than $6 million a
Yeah,
film.
this seems pretty outdated.
Or have his photo air kissed by legions of swooning schoolgirls during recess.
What?
Just chill out.
Take it down a notch.
I used to do that all the time with pictures of Brad Pitt.
He would
Yeah.
air kiss the photos.
His
Like, what?
photo?
Yeah.
But if you've caught LeGros' quirky personality, you may wonder why he's still toiling away. But this Minnesota native, 2 sentences starting with but at this. No.
Bad rating.
Despite being tight-lipped on Pitt,
What?
LeGros will happily chit-chat about his career. LeGros says he isn't very L.A., though he did live there for a short while. This biography is by Darlene Takagi, dtakagi at hotmail.com.
Thank you.
I love James LeGros.
I do too.
He's been married to like Robert Loggia's daughter for like 25 years,
Okay.
which is awesome.
That's nice.
He's a cool guy who makes a zillion movies.
Yeah, just works a lot.
Works a lot.
Oh,
I
he
think
was great
he
in
is
Girls.
handsome.
I just remember him in Girls. He was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like consistently very
Really
good in
gross.
everything, and he does have this interesting look to him because he's like a weirdly goofy kind of handsome.
Yeah.
But I feel like back in the day, he used to be often typecast as kind of like the strung out California dude, right?
Yes.
Like, because in Point Break, he's
Spacey
that
dolt. kind
Living
of,
in Oblivion, which is like one of his best performances.
Yes.
He's that, like the kind of like, like ditzy LA guy.
He's very good at playing dumb
yes.
and doing
He
it
is.
sympathetically and empathetically.
But I think he's good in everything.
I do
and
too,
I just
yeah.
like to shout him out. He was in Scotland, PA. Remember that? With fucking Mark
A movie
Tierney?
we've referenced weirdly often on this podcast.
Yeah, because we referenced it in the Insomnia episode for sure.
Yeah,
Because that's a Mark Tierney joint.
right. And we definitely referenced it in our Billy Morissette miniseries.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So he starts to like freak out a little bit watching the bar thing break down.
Yeah, that's such a great
this-
scene.
right.
That's like the best set piece of the movie. Right? Yes.
But largely, he and May are like removed from that.
Yes.
You're barely kind of covering them. There's some stuff at the beginning when like Paxton is kind of egging him on. There's that thing where he gets him to punch the guy.
Yes.
Start the fight.
That's Paxton's scene, is the bar scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of not into Caleb. And then it's when Caleb sort of puts himself in harm's way later to protect them in the daylight in that like police raid thing. That's when they're like, you're all right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's when he wins them over.
Right. Because there's also, there's this thread that's been established that Pazdar's dad and his little sister
Yeah, right.
are looking for him.
Right.
Tim Thomerson,
But
is
just
the dad.
because he's kind of been running away in general. It's not even, they don't know about the vampire thing.
no,
obviously.
sure, yeah, right.
They're
He's
just like, that kid spent too much time in a truck.
Kids these days.
Right. Kids in their trucks. This kind of was the original Monster Trucks.
Yeah, but it doesn't have that certain something, that je ne sais quoi, the creech.
Je ne sais quoi.
What am I calling?
Right. Well,
Right.
but that's what makes Bigelow a master filmmaker. She knew that audiences were not ready to meet Creech.
1987, people were not ready to meet Creech. 2017,
Still not ready
still
to
not
meet
ready to meet Creech. So try 30 more years. 2047, will we be ready for Creech?
That's the question.
I thought you turned your phone off.
I didn't turn my iPad off.
complete monster.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm getting a new iPhone on Friday.
Whoa.
Is it the new iPhone?
Is
I
it
guess
the-
so. It's not the X, the one that looks
is
at
it
your
the
face.
7S,
No, thank
like
you.
the one I have? That's
No,
way
it's
too
the,
big.
The 8, but I'm getting the big one again.
I want to get
But they just give me them, it's the like upgrade program thing, and like I've dropped this phone and it started to crack, and I was like, I guess it's time.
Yeah, but I regretted getting the big one. Like,
I like
it's
the
way
big
too
one.
big. But it's too big. Like, I liked when the whole thing about iPhones was that they were getting smaller and smaller, and now boom, they're massive.
Here's the secret: no case.
Well, yeah, but then you break it.
Yeah.
So
I've had it for a year. I only broke it just now.
Right.
well, I've
but
never
you
broken
did.
any
But now I get a new
phones.
one.
That's
Whatever.
impressive. You've never broken a phone?
No?
I've only seriously broken a phone once, and it was like freezing cold, and I just dropped it on the concrete like face down, and it just
Okay, so you
was obliterated.
you seriously broke a phone once, but comedically, how many times have you broken?
Like so, well, this one when I broke it, I dropped it. It fell out of my hand, bounced onto Onderdonk Avenue in Queens, and then rolled under a car. Like, and I was like, it was one of those moments where you're like, I don't know of a way to get this. Like, this may just not. I may not be able to get the phone.
Yeah.
And also, like, phone, take it down a notch. You didn't need to break that many times.
Yeah, exactly. It was like,
You didn't have to do a full Jerry Lewis routine.
Right. And then I had to get a tree branch and I swept it out from under the car.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, how else do I get something from under a car? Like it was in the middle of the car,
I just love picturing you, a very tall
Yeah.
man.
I am quite tall.
Crouched
Using a
on the
branch.
streets of Brooklyn, holding onto a branch.
Queens.
Sorry.
I was in Queens.
Was anyone around to witness this?
My mother was around to witness it. I was having lunch
The story's
with her.
getting better and better.
Yeah, we had Nepalese food in Queens.
Oh, I kind of wish I would break my phone sometimes. Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
time. And then I swept it underneath with the branch.
Wow.
What is Nepalese food like?
It's kind of like Indian food, but with more like sort of dumplings and hearty stews and stuff. Like we had this sort of like curried chicken thing, but also these like vegetable dumplings and a little soup. And then also there was this
Sounds
like
rustic.
yeah, it's like hearty food. It's a mountainous country.
Sure.
And then also we had this like donut, this sort of fried dough that was only a little sweet that you would like dip in stuff. And like curried potatoes and stuff. It was great. It's a great
Nice.
place
In Queens.
in Queens. I'll shout them out. What's it called? Because it has a really weird name.
Burger King?
Dunkin'
Yeah,
Donut.
that's it. No, it's called While in Kathmandu or Kathmandu.
You're right. That is a weird name.
Like
That's a cool
Kathmandu
name.
is the capital of Nepal. That's not the weird. It's the
Yeah.
While in. I don't know, but
very few restaurant names are sentences.
exactly. It's on. I think it's on Seneca Avenue. It's great. Look, see, that's the food.
Hey, that looks fun.
It's
really
great.
good.
It's a good time.
That's-
You get a bunch of stuff.
yeah.
Nepalese
Okay.
food.
One in Queens.
While in Kathmandu. Queens.
Yes. When you're done branching your phone out from under a car,
Oh boy.
go dip
With
some
your
dough.
mom.
Yeah, with my mother.
With David's mom.
Yes. So,
So
somebody, because there's that scene where Jesse gets shot, where Henderson gets shot, and he like
Right.
spits the bullet out.
That happens at the bar.
That's right.
Doesn't-
That at the
Oh,
bar?
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think it was right
Oh, no.
after.
It's when they go to the
Yes.
hotel because
That's
it's when the dad
hotel
comes
shit.
in.
Right, exactly.
Right. They go to the motel because the sunlight's coming up.
Right.
So they got to pull into a motel quickly. And there's that great exchange where the old guy behind the desk says, like, don't I recognize you from a while back?
I come here every 50 years.
Right.
Or whatever.
Better make the reservation now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I guess we should say because they do let that actor you were just previously talking about get away,
James LeGros gets away.
and so
Yes.
he reports to the cops, who then bring the cops to the
Right.
first
That's what
motel
prompts
room.
the raid.
Right.
Yes.
Because at first
Right.
you think James LeGros is just a very featured extra. It's like, wow, they're getting a lot of reaction shots from this
As
guy.
he plays teenage cowboy. That's his official title.
Okay. But he gets away. He's the one who survives. They go to this motel, and then they're raided.
Yeah.
But even before that, little sneaky boy vampire
Yes, Homer.
goes to the soda machine,
Mm.
sees a little girl who is
Right.
Pasdar's sister, but he
Yes.
doesn't know.
Right.
Oh,
And
boy.
he wants a little friend.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
hmm
So he brings her back, and Pasdar is immediately like, no way.
Yeah.
That's my sister.
Mm.
Dad comes in.
Yeah.
He's like, who are these fucking kids you're hanging out with? That's when I believe the police raid happens very shortly after that,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's when Caleb kind of rescues them, and so they're into it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then Caleb escapes with his family at a certain point. I'm trying to remember the fucking plot of this movie.
Yeah.
It's
I
hard to
just
remember
watched
the
it last night.
connections
I think you
between
guys,
scenes.
it's actually,
We flipped it?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
isn't-
shootout. They get
Yeah.
away.
Right.
And
And
then the
then-
sister.
Another motel. And then
Gotcha.
the
There's a lot of
sister
motels
family.
in this
yeah,
movie.
There's
Yes.
a lot of motels.
They all look the same
Yeah.
because they're models.
Okay.
Yep.
Combined motel.
Hey,
But
the
anyway.
shootout's like great. It's like classic.
And the bullet spit is cool.
Yes.
All the,
Mhm.
the
And then-
lights coming in.
I feel like she's finding cool ways to do fun vampire shit
Right.
with no money, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
right,
like
yeah.
the bullets bit.
Very, very simple, like practical
Yes.
Yeah.
effects.
Or later
Really
when you see them
impressive.
catching on fire, like that's just
Right.
old school stuntman
Yeah,
shit.
so
That's
good.
fun.
yeah,
They just get really black and
That's
like
cool.
burny, and yeah,
I like it.
it's great.
And then finally they go, pow.
But
There's
then
like
there's
some
this
CGI flames though.
this other cool idea, which I don't feel like I'd seen in a vampire movie before, which is like, what if we do a transfusion with normal blood?
You're right.
It's so simple.
Right.
It's very
Like,
simple.
such
Just
a
get the blood
smart,
out.
logical,
Do it,
like,
yeah.
oh, that might be the cure.
Right.
Right.
Now that's silly. But because I buy it in this movie because he just got turned into a vampire.
Right.
How much
Yeah.
blood could he have?
Exactly.
Like, vampire blood.
Right.
But
Yeah.
vampires don't make any sense anyway.
No, it's zero.
It doesn't
I
make
mean,
any
yeah,
fucking
like,
sense. Why do they have
you know.
blood but no like life? Like what are you
Right?
talking about here? They have like a brain.
And
Like
the
why
whole-
are they dead? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and
Yeah.
like the whole thing of her giving blood to him, like why does she even have blood?
Yeah,
right, they're supposed
but they
to drink
do.
blood, but
right.
do
Right.
they have blood?
I think
Because they're
usually.
supposed to be dead.
Often that's how you sire them, though. Is like you
I guess.
give them your vampire
But
blood.
it's also
I don't
like
know.
they're drinking
Yeah.
blood through their mouth, but then it goes straight into their veins rather than their tummy. Shouldn't they have a blood tummy rather than
I
like?
think they do have a
Oh.
blood tummy, but right. But then, yeah, do they like poop?
The nutrients go
They
into
poop
the blood.
Do they? I
That's
don't know.
the
Do
good
they have like a
question.
digestive system?
They probably just pee. I don't know.
Yeah, right. It is liquid.
Yeah.
A
That's-
lot of
that's
questions.
cool,
See, we've had so many vampire TV shows, so many vampire movies, and
Still
yet
so many
hey,
questions.
I still have questions.
You should have the fans tweet at Griffin and David what you think about vampire poop.
Yeah, hashtag vampire poop.
Okay, so here's my pitch for how we answer these questions. I want to make a procedural TV show called Transylvania General Hospital,
Uh huh.
and it's a hospital that only treats vampires.
Uh huh.
And every episode,
Can't
you
you just
have
call it Vampire Hospital? Let's shorten that.
I-
Transylvania General.
you'd be a little
What
oblique.
about
You-
Transylvania General? Forget the hospital, right?
well, that
Yeah.
will sound like it's about a Transylvanian general to me.
But, just
Well,
want
sound
to
like it's
cast
about
as wide a net.
A
as you
vampire
can.
patent, you
Right?
know?
Well, that sounds good too.
Yeah.
Let's do two shows.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch
General Transylvania and
Right.
Transylvania General.
This is my new interconnected TV universe. It's a series of procedural shows.
right.
It's like,
Law and Order.
I'm gonna be the Dick
They're
Wolf of
gonna-
vampires.
Yeah, exactly. So there'll be like a vampire
Dick
fireman.
Wolf, more like Dick Vampire.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, why hasn't Dick Wolf ever made a spin-off about how he's a werewolf?
Yeah.
yeah,
Isn't that what Law and Order is all about, though?
Yes.
All the
life of-
criminals, they're like vampires.
Right. And
Like,
the
if you think
cops
about
are
it-
like lycans. It's like
Yeah.
Underworld.
Mm.
I had a very short-lived character bit that was Dick Werewolf,
It sounds
real?
bad.
where instead of howling at the moon, he does the dun dun.
I'm glad that was short-lived.
Very short-lived.
That's really good.
Like it lived about as long as it took me to do it once.
Here are the stories.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I just want a show that's like House, where they're like trying to solve the like mystery, the medical mystery. At the end of every episode, the doctor goes like, "Okay, I figured it out. Here's the deal." They poop blood. Like the doctor just looks at the audience and explains a new physiological element of like vampires' existence.
That must like be in the works.
We're
somewhere.
doing such a good job discussing Near Dark.
Near Dark the
Yeah.
movie.
I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, me too.
Me
It's
too.
a very good podcast. We're gonna get $2.5 million.
What happens next?
So now he's cured. Now he's a nice trucker boy again.
Yep.
Right.
And the movie rides off in the sunset.
But unfortunately, they want his sister.
Exactly.
Oh.
So
Because she's a witness, and also because she has
they
blood.
want to turn her into a vampire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets on a horse.
Yes.
There's the horseback scene.
Yeah.
Classic Western style.
Yeah.
Great gloves.
I mean, then
Like his gloves.
then it's just the final showdown, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's just it's just the big battle with all of them dying in sort of fun, cool ways.
Yeah.
That's a great showdown.
Yeah, I forgot that they just cure May at the end though by giving her transfusion, which
Feels like it shouldn't take for her.
exactly. She's been a vampire for years.
Right.
Like, what are
How
you
many
gonna?
years? Like, does she say like 4 years or something?
I thought she said 40. I thought it was
40?
like a
Oh, shit.
while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
like, when you get a blood transfusion, does it replace like all of your blood?
That would mean that the
Right.
person giving you blood gives you all of her blood.
You're right,
Like that,
like-
and then she dies.
Yeah,
But-
you know, there's
That's
a
fine.
limited amounts of blood at
Yeah.
work here, right?
Right. Like with him, if it's like, okay, he's got a very limited amount
just
of
needs to
vampire
flush it
blood.
out of his system.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
a cleanse, you know?
Right,
But with her, it's like you need a full blood transplant, essentially.
right. That's weird.
You gonna Google it?
Yeah. Can
Also,
you
like, what
cure
blood type is she?
vampirism?
Like,
Sure.
No,
Is it the right blood
How
type? We don't
much
even know.
Blood
Yeah.
do you get in a transfusion?
Okay, so this is all these questions would be answered on Transylvania.
we should
General.
have a doctor on this podcast.
We should. We
Yeah.
should.
And
Yeah. Well, we could.
Vampire
James
doctor.
Hamlin could be on it. My coworker. He's a doctor.
You have a coworker who's a doctor?
Yeah, he's a star writer at the Atlantic who used to be a doctor. And
Writes
he
about stars at the Atlantic?
writes about
astrology,
health stuff. He's interviewed Obama. He's like way much bigger, way
wow.
bigger deal than I am.
and he's a doctor.
Yeah, he used to
Wow.
have a series called on the site called "If Our Bodies Could Talk." He's good. I love talking to
Oh.
James about my body.
Well, Ben has a PhD.
That's true.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I forgot. You're not Professor Crispy.
No.
Let's see.
sorry, I'm
blood
so sorry.
transfusion
It's okay.
safe.
Don't get it confused.
Usually, you get 1 pint of blood.
Okay.
Okay,
It's not that much.
that's
No.
not that much.
No, that's about as much as someone can give up, I think, as well.
Okay.
Right.
Before you, faint.
Yeah, I
Like
remember.
before it's like medically unhealthy for you to give more. Like your
Yeah,
body
yeah.
can
Right.
make more blood, but it takes like a day.
In high school, they wouldn't let me participate in the blood drive because I was so skinny. They said my body couldn't handle it.
Wow.
I'm not allowed to donate blood because I lived in another country.
Really?
Although I think
Oh, wow.
eventually
So
that
that
lapses.
Dirty British blood.
Exactly. There's some time limit on it, like 10 years or
Okay.
something. So I think I might be finally able to. But they have a lot of like really intense limits on who can give blood.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's true.
There was also a point in high school where my doctor thought I had mercury poisoning because I was hanging out with Jeremy Piven a
I was
lot.
about to say, we're eating a lot of sushi with
No,
old
I
kids.
don't eat fish at all. I eat zero seafood. And they were like, we think you might have dangerous levels of mercury in your bloodstream.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow.
they had to take like 10 vials of blood out of my arm.
That sounds like a lot.
A lot, right? Like the little vials, but it's
No,
like
I know.
10
It's
of
a
them.
pain.
10,
It's a
yeah.
pain.
So I'm like there.
The
and-
most of those I've done is like 3.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm strapped
Yeah.
into this thing and it's just sort of going and I'm like purposefully like looking away. And then I just hear the nurse go, "Oh." And I went, "What?" And she went, "No more is coming out."
Your body was just like, enough.
Yeah. And
You're
then
a
they
real
switched to the
vampire.
other arm and got 5 vials out of the other arm.
Oh.
Last time I had blood taken, I was just sitting there, and as the blood started, I was like as it's coming out, I was like, I haven't eaten today, and the nurse was like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like that, and I was like, "Yeah, I've just realized I forgot to have breakfast," and she just went like this. She just held her hand out, and I almost immediately went like, and my head hit her hand, and I just
Wow.
conked out.
Well,
she had to really put up with some
The
bullshit.
last time I did a blood test, I was supposed to not eat. So it's the worst. Like you're supposed to go like I don't know how you say in English, but like,
Right, you
without
can't
having
eat
breakfast.
before, right, if they're doing
Right.
like cholesterol or
Exactly.
whatever. Right, yeah.
It
Because
wasn't
you'll fuck it up.
cholesterol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
But that was fine.
What they should have done when you told them that was kept the one sort of drip in to get your blood out, but then also giving you an IV drip with like a hamburger. So one arm they were putting
Burger
nutrients in, a burger drip. They should have given you one of those burger
Do you have
drips.
any burger reports?
No, and I've been looking so
Do you have any burger?
Burger what?
reports. Oh, you know what? I saw Ben Mendelsohn eat a burger. Fuck. That's a burger report.
You
We were at TIFF. I was at
Mendelsohn
TIFF.
eating a burger?
Did you
That's
see
nice.
any famous people at the Toronto Film Festival eating burgers?
No. I only saw Tracy Letts walking by twice. That's it. He wasn't eating a burger.
Did you check his hands?
I saw Tracy. That's a yeah.
I
Right.
checked his hands.
Tracy, you got a burger in there somewhere?
Yeah.
And he's like,
Show me your tongue.
He was like, all right.
Anything in
yes,
your
I
mouth?
do. Yeah, no.
He was awesome. He was wearing that shirt. Well, fuck, I forget now.
Oh, the Greta Gerwig t-shirt?
yeah, the Greta Gerwig t-shirt.
Because he's in her movie.
He's amazing. At it.
And I saw him, actually, I realized later that the woman next to him was Greta Gerwig, but I didn't recognize her. Because I just care about Tracy Letts.
The one person
Sorry, Greta.
And Greta Gerwig was wearing a Tracy Letts t-shirt, right?
I hope so.
her movie is the best movie
It's
I
really
saw.
good.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
impressed.
I went to a lot of parties at TIFF because you go to all these
Jesus
parties.
Christ. Okay.
Humble brag.
And
Yeah.
but the only time and obviously the parties often
Hidden
have
play over here.
sliders,
What, you get 3 house parties?
which is a burger.
Yeah, I know. I know what a slider is.
But I'm just saying,
I'm the Jerry O'Connell of sliders, okay?
the star.
Been on them for years.
I mean, he really hasn't been on sliders for years at this point.
I was for a number of years.
The burgers. I'm like holding. I'm just because you're the burger report judge. One of us has to be. You know, where it's like, does this merit?
The burger report.
And definitely at the darkest hour party. That was when I for the new Joe Wright movie, the Winston Churchill movie. I was so hungry and I had to like go to a screening after this party. So I was like trying to eat as many hors d'oeuvres as I could. Like I was the guy who like anytime someone came by, I was just like, "Yep, give me that. That's fine. Let's just put it in my mouth."
That's like every critic, though.
I know, but it's so
They all
bad
do
for you
that.
because like
I know.
a healthy meal is not 6 sliders that you ate standing up. Like that's not like a nutritious. Your body's
so
not
bad.
going to react to that with like, "Oh, thank you. I'll
Yeah.
digest this normally."
I've been like so desperate to find a burger report of my own that like almost anytime I go to a restaurant that has a burger on the menu, I order it myself because I somehow think that will will another famo into showing up.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's like,
That's how
because
your
you don't
brain
even
works?
need to be eating a burger for
I know,
a burger
no,
report to
there's no
happen.
correlation in my mind, but I'm just like, just
Maybe
be,
that'll-
be the burger report you want to see in the world.
So I'm standing there right by the kitchen door so I can really grab some hors d'oeuvres. And then Mendelsohn sweeps by me with his friends or whoever. And he sits down and he has brought many trays of food, including
Wow.
the burgers. Anyway, Ben Mendelsohn, he looks like you would picture he would look. He looks he got a very natty suit on.
One of
Is
our
he
friends.
short?
No.
Oh, really?
No, he's
He always strikes me as short.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember him seeming short. I'm going to look up his height now.
7'15".
5'11". Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, 5'11".
Is he in Darkest Hour?
Yeah, and he's fantastic in it. He's
Okay.
King Stuttering George the Sixth. Great in it. Who doesn't love Ben Mendelsohn?
No one.
Bingo.
Good answer.
Yeah. The Rebels.
Sure. Right. Yes. That's true. That's true.
K2SO.
R.I.P.
Well, that's been our episode Near Dark, obviously.
Is there anything else in the end? I mean, it's cool when they all die.
Yeah, we have to talk about that because it's really cool, I think. So then, like, the good thing is that they all start fighting each other about do we kill the little girl or not. Like, they all start getting angry because, like, May doesn't want to kill her, but then all the guys kind of want to.
Right.
And then the other woman also doesn't want to, and she, like, helps her.
Diamondback.
Yeah.
That's the Jack Goldstein.
Lou
Yeah.
Diamondback.
Yes.
Yeah, Lou Diamondback Phillips.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She tries and help her, and then like there's this amazing scene where they're just running, and the sun is like really up now, and they were kind of just burning. It's really cool.
And the one
Can't run
kneels
away from the sun.
down. Huh?
Can't run away from the sun.
True.
Mm.
Yeah.
Although there are movies where I've seen people run away from the sun. It's really bad. Mummy Returns has a scene where they're trying to outrun the sun.
Sure, the good
Really?
sun. That scene where they're trying to run away from
But they do cure May
from Macaulay. Yeah.
with the blood transfusion, which I'm not into.
Why?
It's so hacky.
Yeah, but it's so romantic.
All right. Well,
it's a
you won
nice
me over.
note. And
Yeah.
it's a bit like it's a bit easy, but you know all the
It's a
others are
bit
dead.
easy,
Yeah,
sure. But
all the
all
others
the
are
others
dead
are
after
dead.
all. So and she's a good person.
Truck blows up. One of them dies in the road.
Mm.
Like kneels down.
Yeah.
Turns into a pillar of salt practically. It's cool.
I just wish they could keep dating and he didn't have to be a vampire. Like, I feel like that's the kind of progressive narrative I
Oh yeah,
want.
yeah.
You know?
Griffin just made like a weirdly intense face. I want
it.
Near Dark. They keep trying to remake it. I feel like that never happens, but you always hear that bubbling up.
It came very close in
It's
the
such a
mid
classic.
2000s, and then they said like, "Well, Twilight stole our thunder," and it's like, if you think that Twilight stole your thunder, then you shouldn't have been remaking Near Dark. Then you clearly don't understand Near Dark.
Right.
Ugh.
It's a movie about grodiness.
It is a grody movie. DEG release. It came out October 2nd,
Okay.
1987, 30 years ago, like almost to the day.
Witching month.
3.3 million was its total domestic gross.
Bad.
On a budget of
That's
$5
sad.
million. Yeah. It is number 50 in Box Office Mojo's vampire
Okay.
chart.
Is number 1 Hotel Transylvania?
No, Hotel Transylvania is number 7.
Wow.
Think about it, dude.
Oh, Twilight.
There's
Yeah.
4 or 5 Twilight movies, and then Hotel Transylvania 2, and then Hotel Transylvania.
HG2 outgrows HG1?
Yeah, 169 to 148.
Wow.
Take that. Then Van Helsing,
Oh,
Interlude
yeah.
of the Vampire. Those are the 9 vampire movies that have grossed over 100. And the Coppola Dracula one came pretty close.
That's a bad movie.
It is. It's
a great
to look at. It's a great like making of book.
Yeah.
You know?
I tried to watch it once in London. There was a pub who was showing it for free, and I went with a friend. I was like, "What am I doing here? This is like the worst movie I've ever seen." And I just walked out.
But if you took still images and put them up in
That's
a
not
gallery,
the-
it would be a great show.
That is not the
Probably.
best
Yeah.
way to
Probably.
see Francis
I know,
Foucault's Dracula
but
in
it
a
sounded
pub.
like fun. Come on,
Yeah,
like,
sure,
watching
right.
a vampire movie in a dark, weird pub with like weirdos there. This is the best way to watch it. No? I don't know.
But that movie's very like romantic and gothic.
Yeah.
and
But
dark.
it's also a movie that probably plays better with the sound off.
Probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Keanu's horrible in it. as
Really,
we-
really bad.
As we
Yeah,
will
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about on Point Break.
A rare misstep from our finest actor.
Number 1, the weekend of October 2nd, Near Dark opened
87?
13th at the box office.
Unlucky.
Good point.
Thank you.
So number 1 at the box office is the second most successful film of this year. And I can't wait for you to tell me what the most successful film of 87 was. It was like a thriller that was like a huge financial hit, a huge zeitgeist thing, and it got a bunch of Oscar nominations. I don't think it won any. It didn't win any.
Fatal Attraction?
Fatal
Yay!
Attraction.
Your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. One of my favorite
Adrian
movies.
Lyne's
I was gonna say it, but it's fine.
sex thriller. Not
Very
really.
good.
So what would you call it? Sort of.
It's an erotic thriller.
It's an erotic thriller.
One of the early ones. One of the best ones.
But it's also like a male.
It's a movie about
panic movie.
second wave feminism is making men paranoid. Don't know what to do with female freedom. They're
that shot of her on the roller coaster. That's my favorite part of that movie. I
so
love
good.
that so much.
We were also talking about how like Michael Douglas is fascinating because he was the first movie star whose persona was this guy's a piece of shit.
yeah.
It's true.
Like there are
'cause
like
there's
bad
that.
boys movie stars, but
Yeah,
like
no,
he was just
Wall
like this guy
Street,
fucking sucks.
Disclosure. There's like a lot.
Right. he's-
That's all his career.
Yeah,
It's
He's
true.
always
He's a
played
slime
losers.
ball.
Shit.
He's like
Yeah.
80s
Yeah.
king slime ball.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like in movies like Wonder Boys, he's such a like sweet
Gentle
little
presence.
gremlin.
Yeah.
But I remember my dad seeing Wonder Boys and being like, I can't believe I liked Michael Douglas in this. Because my
Sure.
dad was so revulsed for years by the Michael Douglas persona
Uh-huh.
that he like almost couldn't reconcile him playing like a guy that he didn't want to punch.
Right. I understand that.
Fatal Attraction, which
number 1 at the box.
Yeah.
has been number 1 for 3 weeks. It's made 31 million so far.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think Fatal Attraction grossed domestically in 1987?
115?
156.
I remember that. And it was also the highest grossing film worldwide that year.
Right, worldwide I could see that, but it's the second highest grossing domestic. What is the highest grossing domestic film of 1987?
Was it
was a
also-
comedy.
It was a comedy, 3 Men and a Baby?
3 Men and a Baby.
God.
That was the number 1 hit of the year.
I remember that
That's
because that's the most anomalous number 1 film of a year ever.
And like the top 5 are 3 Men and a Baby, Fatal Attraction, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Good Morning Vietnam, and Moonstruck.
Jeez.
In case anyone forgets that Hollywood's changed in 30 years.
Yeah.
All right. So number 2 is a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a fantasy comedy, which is interesting. How do you describe this movie?
Does it feature a big comedic star?
Yes, you know what it is, clearly.
Is it The Golden Child?
No. Good guess, but no. It features a big comedic star, but I would say his star is sort of on the wane at this point. But not like an Eddie Murphy type. Like this is a comedian.
It's not Chevy.
No. Think across the pond.
Across the pond.
British guy.
Dudley Moore?
Dudley Moore. What is the movie? It is a fantasy comedy starring a teenage star.
But which one is it?
Oh.
It's not Vice Versa, right?
No. It's a body switch comedy as Griffin has
I know.
surmised.
Fuck. The Dudley Moore one. So wait, Dudley Moore is paired with not Kirk Cameron, right?
It is Kirk.
It is Kirk Cameron.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Sean Astin is in this movie.
Is the title alliterative?
Sure. Yes, it is.
It is?
Yeah.
It's 2 words and they both start with the same letter,
It's
right?
4 words, but each phrase starts with the same letter.
Fuck, God damn it. I give up.
Like father, like son. He's mad about it.
My
Is
only
that a
guess
first that you
I
didn't
can't
get
remember
it?
the title.
No, it happens once in a
That
while.
happens.
Once in a while, okay.
It's
It's
okay.
rare that I know the movie and I don't know what it's called.
Right.
Right. Yes, that's pretty unusual, but it's a pretty anonymous title.
Right.
Be fair.
And there was that weird period where like 3 of those came out in one year.
Yeah, the sort of Freaky Friday type movie.
Right. But there were 3 like dad body swap movies.
My
favorite genre.
Well put.
Yeah.
Well put.
Right.
Number 3. I mean, this is a tough one.
Okay.
I've never heard of this film, but it does star someone we've talked about a lot in our recent interactions for some reason.
On mic or off mic?
On and off mic, but on mic a lot in the Monday episode that we recorded. It's a crime thriller starring a white guy and a black guy. So I've never heard of this movie. It sounds completely fucking insane.
We've talked about the director or the
The
actor?
star, the white guy.
It's okay, so it's 2 leads.
Ben literally said his name at the start of the episode.
David?
No. Who? What?
David Sims?
Yeah, I'm in it. I was 1 year old.
It's not Defoe.
No.
Ben said his name at the beginning of the
This is a hard one to fucking... The title of the movie is a job. Like a job title.
Is it like the...
Yes, the blank. It's been out for 3 weeks. It's going to gross $19 million. It's an R-rated crime thriller. Whew.
Jeez, I'm trying a total blank here.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Can you give me one of the 2 actors?
The black guy is Louis Gossett Jr.
It's not Iron Eagles.
No.
I have no idea.
It's the other star is James Belushi.
What?
What?
And it is called The Principal.
Oh, I know that movie.
Never
I was
heard of
hoping
this.
you'd never heard of it. What is
No,
this
I've
movie?
heard of this movie. It's like Jim Belushi.
Jim Belushi's a high school teacher with a drinking problem.
It's like if Dangerous Minds was violent. It's like Jim Belushi is the new principal in town in like an inner city high school and has to lay down the
He's
law.
transferred to a tough school. Louis Gossett Jr. is like the head of security at this school.
The poster is like him outside
And
of a school building holding a baseball bat.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
which
my
is
God.
upsetting.
And it's like they
That's
have to clean up
what?
the school.
Yeah.
I guess.
Just beat up some kids, I guess.
All right.
I have only seen the post for that movie. I imagine it sucks.
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
Yeah.
Is it a comedy?
No.
What?
This- Which is, again, we talk about it in another episode. Like Belushi made a lot of dramas.
Had a lot of shots. Yeah.
So number 4 is sort of a surprise hit of 87, starring an Oscar-winning, well-known veteran actor and kind of a young star. It's like a kind of like a crime comedy drama. You've actually weirdly guessed the sequel to this movie in the box office game before.
Oh, Stakeout?
Stakeout. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Have you seen Stakeout? Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez.
No, my friend used to swear by Stakeout and like hated another Stakeout.
Another Stakeout is the sequel to Stakeout.
And they had Rosie O'Donnell.
Yes.
Yeah.
That came out like way.
That's the
it was
other
like
thing.
came out like 7 years later, and it's
Right.
like, why are you?
It took too long.
Stakeout was like a surprise hit.
Surprise hit.
No.
Dreyfuss and Estevez?
Dreyfus and Estevez, yes.
Nice.
It also features Aidan Quinn.
Did John
Madeline
Badham
Stowe.
direct it?
John Badham directed it.
weird.
Forrest Whitaker. He also directed another Stake Up.
Yeah.
That's the director of Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, he's been directing Saturday Night Live for 42 seasons.
It's what else? He directed War
Deliverance,
Games.
right?
He directed no,
That's John
Deliverance is
Borman.
Anyway, number 5 is a well-loved hit movie of the year that remains beloved to this day. Sort of a cheesy romantic movie that rocks.
It rocks?
That rocks.
It's a great movie.
Does it roll?
Sure, a little bit in a 50s kind of way.
Okay, you like it a lot.
Yeah, this movie's pretty lovable. It stars an actress that I just had the biggest crush on when I was a kid. But that might not be that helpful because I had weird crushes.
No,
when I was a kid.
that's why I think it might be helpful.
And the actor is someone Bigelow will later work with.
Oh.
Interesting. Not Keanu.
No.
Oh, is it a Swayze picture? It's
Oh.
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty
Nice.
Dancing.
Had a huge crush on Jennifer Grey, mostly in Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. Not surprising at
Yes.
all.
Queen. She's a queen.
Yeah.
Of the 80s.
Well, that
How do you feel about Dirty Dancing, Monty?
It's pretty fun. I think it's it's maybe not the most woke movie ever, but it's pretty
No.
fun.
no. But
I
you know.
I don't like judging movies like that anyway.
Nah,
so
it's a
fine.
30-year-old movie. Jerry
a
Orbach
movie.
is in it.
a great story.
Yeah.
That movie cost pretty much as Near Dark cost to make, but it made a little more
Right.
money.
Nice.
Won
That
an
movie
Oscar.
almost went straight to video.
I know.
Wow.
Well,
And then
it feels
became-
like it should go straight to video.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
weirdly
the
caught fire.
stupidest idea for a movie ever.
Do you know I have never seen it? But I saw Dirty Dancing Havana Nights opening night.
It's a good movie.
It's not bad.
Rama Gary, Diego Luna.
Two pretty people.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Dance.
a that one.
Which is like technically set in the same universe. Is that the sort of gimmick with that one?
Right. Patrick Swayze appears in it even though the movie is set 20 years earlier.
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking
What?
sense.
Makes
And
zero
he's
sense.
20 years older.
Yes, correct.
Other movies, you got Hellraiser.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah, I love that movie. That's
So
a
good.
crazy 80s.
That's number
weirdo
one in
fun.
the puzzle box genre on Box Office Mojo, right? Number one in the configuration queue.
Someone thinks he's funny.
haven't
Yes,
slept.
it is the number one Hellraiser movie.
Okay.
It made only $14 million domestic. It's crazy that there
Wow.
have been like 4 theatrical Hellraisers off of that.
There are like 10
Yeah.
in total.
There's so many Hellraisers.
Wow.
yeah.
You've got the pickup artist, young RDJ, in a totally creepy movie with
One of the most
Ringwald.
Tobackian films ever made.
God, he's such a creep. You got
But
big.
he's Tobackian. You got to give him credit.
You got Big Shots.
Big shot.
I don't know what that is.
Mm.
Looking it up.
Okay.
I want to know.
This was my worst box office game in a long time.
It's kind of amazing,
Yeah,
actually.
I'm
But
a
it's
bit
a hard
disappointed.
one.
I'd
Yeah,
say.
I'm disappointed in myself. I'd like to
you're
announce I'm
better-
stepping down from the
You're
podcast.
better from, no, never. You're better from games when you were alive.
True.
That makes
yes.
sense. Yeah.
But even still, I feel like I'm usually better at sussing them out.
I have nothing for you on Big Shots. I don't know. It was called a big bad comedy. So I think it was sort of, there was some, like it's like a black guy and a white guy, and I'm sure it's all very
Things are bad. Okay.
I don't know.
Mhm.
All very clever. La Bamba, number 9, with our boy Lou Diamond.
Mhm.
That was his breakout.
Yeah.
He's fantastic in that.
Yeah. So we've mentioned him 12 times
Yeah.
in one episode.
No Way Out with Gene Hackman and Kevin Costner.
Mm.
And we don't have to
That's what
go
you got.
all the way down.
Well, that's
you
the
know?
top
Yeah.
10. Near Dark is number 13.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a bummer.
It
pretty
opened
bad.
in 262 theaters, and it tried to build. It didn't really, but it did expand the next week, and then it kind of just
Mm.
vanishes.
But it's kind of known now. Like people really like this movie now.
Definitely.
I think.
Yes, but
It's kind
I
of a
wish
cult
people
film.
could see this movie.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It would be nice if the
They've
the
heard
Blu-ray
of it.
didn't cost $80 on Amazon or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right. Or if
Yeah.
it were available. I mean, this is like the great crime of like the death of video rental places.
Yeah.
Is when all rentals exist digitally and then there's a rights issue.
Yes,
Suddenly it disappears from every single platform simultaneously.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think I first saw it because my sister found it in a CX. So that was cool.
Sex.
Very lucky.
In the sex, yeah. It was great.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Fun to talk about it.
Fun to talk about other stuff as well. Manny, thank you so much for being
You're
here on the
welcome.
show.
Thanks for having me.
if you wouldn't mind flying coach on the way back, just because we're a little strapped.
What?
Well, it just turns out the MacArthur grant's less than I thought it was.
Yeah, shit.
I thought it was $1 million lump sum, and now I realize we're getting $250,000.
Look
that's
forward to that.
offensive.
We might have blown our entire budget on this episode.
Well, it was worth it, right?
We had to buy Near Dark.
Yeah.
Every print available.
Yes.
Every print. Yeah. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah. At least we own the rights now.
That's true. So we can release it on
We'll do it
Blu-ray.
release.
I got this idea, like a real sexy cover, a real Twilight-y cover.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's really like sex it up.
Sure. Like I'm gonna do a True Blood cover. Let's put out competing covers and see which one sells better.
Great.
Ask your followers.
Yes.
One of my earliest jobs on the internet was recapping True Blood for the AV Club.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Because nobody wanted to deal with that show because it had the worst fans.
Really? Were True Blood fans very territorial?
Yeah, and they were the worst fans are always the fans who only watch that show.
Yes.
They don't like view TV as like some sort of like spectrum of programming that has good things and bad things. They were just like, I know, I watch True Blood every week and I'm pretty sure it's the best show on TV. So what's this B- you're giving it?
This was a good episode of True Blood because it was an episode of True Blood.
Yeah, right. I'm comparing it to nothing else, and I love it.
I disagree with you. Fake blood.
The truest blood.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is another one of those. South Park. There are certain shows where it's like the fans just don't watch other TV. They just love that show.
They feel a little ownership.
They're new.
They feel ownership. Yeah. People can follow you on Twitter.
Yes, at Manny Lazic. That's me.
I believe it's Lazic, but
Oh,
I'll let you off the hook for
Well,
that
I didn't
one.
put the accent.
Kind of embarrassing, but I'll let you off the hook.
Yes.
And follow your work on Little White Lies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still write for them and I write for other places sometimes.
But don't shoplift it.
No, don't shoplift.
Go to the website or buy it proper.
Head on over to FOP. Just walk out. No one's going to bug you.
That's true. But don't tell that to anyone. Come on. Just do it. Just to pay for it. It's nice.
How much does it cost these days?
I don't know. I get it for free because I write for them.
Congrats.
But it's worth it.
Yeah. That's the lap of luxury we live in media. Where we get our own magazines for free.
Yeah, you have studios paying us to write good reviews and your magazine giving you free
My
issues.
Marvel check's got to clear.
Right.
Or else Ragnarok's getting a pan.
I mean, how much is Catherine Bigelow giving you? Catherine Bigelow paid for my trip here, so
yeah,
you know?
that's true. We are basically a money laundering operation for Catherine Bigelow.
100%. It's directors who feel like their names aren't mentioned enough. Hire us.
Yeah.
Hire us and other podcasts.
Yes, right. Some other podcast in the exact same order
At the same time.
to discuss them.
Yeah.
But hey, look, we're probably the only podcast doing a Near Dark episode.
Yes, that's true. We're the only podcast stupid enough to do a whole episode about a movie you can't watch.
Yep.
But we watched it. We talked about it. Great job, everybody.
What if that episode makes someone decide to make it available?
Hey.
Huh?
Hey.
Good
The
point.
power of
They're
podcasts.
ganging up on me right now, guys. I don't know why.
Power.
They're like, huh, David? Like
Podcast
I've been
power.
arguing against this.
It's possible.
It is possible,
Gotta
and I hope
believe.
it happens. And I hope that this and Strange Days get proper releases on Blu-ray
Yeah.
again, that are
Yes.
available.
They just need to make a Bigelow box set.
I would
Blu-ray
buy a
box
Bigelow
set.
box set,
Yeah.
just like my Nolan box set that came with a lovely book about him.
I got the same one. You get those
Aw.
little postcards.
Nice.
Those little glossy postcards.
Who wrote about him?
Oh,
In it.
just, Tom Stoppard. No, I don't know.
It's like copywriters. It's like very generic. There aren't like essays. It just like has like a description of like his next movie was about Batman.
Have you heard of him? The superhero? Well, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Sounds good. But
I'd
it has
love one of those.
podcasts, so
Yeah, I'd love one of those. And you'd have to like get the weight of water, but it would be fun.
Yeah. That's pretty light. I mean, it won't weigh down the box.
Water's
that
heavy,
much.
man. Get
Depends
enough
how
of
much
it.
you have.
I remember
a cup.
studying that in school. I don't remember what the weight of water is.
No one does.
I guess I have to watch the movie.
That's right. Spoiler alert. It weighs, 40 pounds.
Yeah. What, I think an hour 40, hour 45?
Why the fuck is it called? Well, we'll see. I haven't watched it yet. We'll see.
We'll get to it.
All right, Ben. All right.
Ben
all right.
hates
All right.
us
All right.
too.
Ben hates this. We're wrapping up.
Wrap it
give
up.
Us, give us the. Take us out.
That has been part 4 of our Near Dark episode. Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to Andrew Gudo for our social media, Joe Bowen and Pat Reynolds for our artwork, Lane Montgomery for our theme song. Go to blankies.reddit.com for some real nerdy shit. Have you seen the recent thing that's going on in the Reddit? You have.
Which thing?
That someone found.
Oh yeah, the misconnection in
Someone
Craigslist?
found a misconnection from my since deleted Tinder profile.
Oh.
Because my Tinder profile was so bad, they were like, I haven't been able to forget how weird this was and couldn't
Sure.
figure out if it was a bit or not.
It was a bit, right?
It was not. I just hate myself.
Well, okay, but your whole life is a bit.
Agreed, in that sense.
Yes. So wait, are you going to go on a date with this person?
I have no idea. I emailed with her and she was like, why would you make that profile?
Okay, maybe this isn't a winner for you then.
I don't know. I'm trying to explain to her my life now.
At least she's intrigued.
Yeah. My profile
Because of
picture
attention.
was me with a fake gash on my chest.
Right. What was it from?
Thanksgiving, the Go 90 original series. Remember it won a bunch of Emmys?
Wait, a gash on your chest?
No
so like,
comment.
It was like makeup from a set that
Right.
makes it look like I've been stabbed in the chest. But the photo was pretty realistic looking.
okay,
Yeah.
so maybe it looks like someone went and dug out your heart, right?
Hey.
And
yes.
so you need to date someone to like find your heart again.
Yeah, it's a little
That's
lower than that. I think it's got
Okay.
more of a
Oh, shit.
a liver
All right,
vibe to it.
Ben's
but-
gonna kill you.
Okay,
Fair
Ben is angry about everything. He is scarlet with rage.
Classic.
Sorry.
Wrap
Sorry,
it up.
Ben.
It's
Come
fine.
on.
It's fine.
Go to Reddit.
Yeah.
Thanks to
All
Aaron,
that stuff.
Ange Ferragudo for our
I said all of
social-
that.
Oh, sure. Great.
We're trying to wrap it up.
Okay.
David, come on.
Ah, sorry.
It's not David's fault.
but David, let me explain this to you, okay? We're
Now-
trying to
now
end,
he's going.
We're trying to end the episode.
Uh-huh.
So you shouldn't say things that I've already said. And as always, I just pulled my leg.
What?
What?
Recording a podcast, I just pulled a muscle in my leg. My leg hurts a lot right now.